The Trump admin is preparing for an invasion of Cuba because we just can't get enough. Trump did an interview. He said the war in Iran is almost over. This morning, he said the strait is open and we're making China very, very happy. And I honestly, I don't know what to believe at this point. I have whiplash from Trump saying it's open, it's closed, the war is over, the ceasefire, and we just have no idea. I actually think Trump's plan at this point is to just keep going back and forth so everybody spins around, gets real dizzy, and has no idea what's happening. Now, in the meantime, apparently there are concerns that Donald Trump wants an invasion of Cuba, so his administration has actually been drafting up plans for this invasion, which we all know the American people are hungry for. We've wanted Cuba back forever, and actually I think most people don't care all that much. We'll talk about that. And then this may be the bigger story. Tom Steyer, who's now the front runner for governor in California after Eric Swalwell had to drop out because he was accused of drugging and raping several women. Holy crap. Well, at least drugging and raping one of them. The rest of them, I don't know what happened, but apparently they were drunk too. So anyway, Tom Steyer says he's going to put ICE in jail. That when ICE comes to California, if he's governor, he's going to arrest and put them in jail. That's where we're going. So what do you call it when the state threatens federal law enforcement with other law enforcement force, and when enforcement comes in to enforce the law, they try to stop it, and then there's people with guns fighting each other? You know the words. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more, my friends. Before we do, we got a great sponsor for you. It is Bearskin. We're back, baby. You guys remember Bearskin, right? Those great hoodies. Most waterproof jackets, the ones with the big outdoor brands, the ones you've been wearing for years, are coated with something called PFAs. They call them forever chemicals because they don't break down. Not in the environment, not your body ever. PFAs are what make water beat up and roll off your jacket. That satisfying moment where rain hits the fabric and just slides off. That's toxic chemical doing its job. That's great. So I got to tell you about Bearskin, guys. Their heavy storm rain jacket. It is 20,000 waterproof. It's expedition grade, the same rating you'd find in serious mountain gear, but it has zero PFA forever chemicals. None. No forever chemicals in the membrane coating. That's fantastic. On top of that, it packs into its own pocket, so you can stash it in your bag, your truck, your golf bag. It's always there when the weather turns. It zips into the Bearskin hoodie for a full 3-in-1 warm and waterproof system. Tape seams, sealed zippers, the works. Right now, they're running a 60% off on the heavy storm rain jacket with free shipping. So here's what you got to do. You got to text Tim to 36912. That's Tim to 36912. They will send you a link. You can click it whenever, wherever. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're sleeping, whatever. But when you click that link, you will get 60% off. So definitely check it out. Shout out to Bearskin. Thanks for sponsoring the show. And of course, you got to grab some cast brew coffee. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you want to get that early morning pep in your step, I recommend some Appalachian Nights. I got to tell you guys, I drink this stuff all the time. And our good friend George Santos was hanging out. And I said, George, we have the best coffee you will ever have. And he's like, that's not true. And I was like, it is really good. And he was like, well, I'll try it and I'll let you know what I think. And I was like, well, now you have to say it's good because I'm standing next to you. And he's like, do you want me to lie to you? And I was like, yes, George, lie. And then he was like, I won't do that. And I said, okay, well, tell me what you think. And he said, that's really good coffee. Wow, that's actually really good. Straight from George Santos's mouth. So check out castbrew.com. And pick up your whole bean or ground. And we got a bunch of other stuff. We got K-Cups, all that good stuff. Don't forget to also smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Tonight, joining us to talk about this and everything else is Mark Moran.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
I'm a Renaissance man. I'm running for United States Senate in Virginia. I was running previously as a Democrat. Now I'm running as an independent.
Interesting. I think we'll have to discuss how that happened.
I think so.
We before the show, I said, tell me, what are your policies? And it was all basically like liberal-leaning policy, but they kicked you out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't liberal enough.
Not liberal enough. We're going to have to talk about that. It'll be interesting. So thanks for hanging out. It's going to be fun. Elaad, of course, is hanging out.
What's up? Good evening, everybody.
We got Tate Brown holding it down.
What is going on, Patriots? Happy New Year.
And of course, Carter Banks pressing the buttons.
What's up, everyone? Let's get into it.
Here's the story from The Independent. Oh boy, Pentagon ramps up plans for a military operation in Cuba in case Trump orders direct intervention. Report. I love how they've caveated this to this headline went through 5 lawyers because the headline's actually simple. Trump admin prepares for invasion of Cuba. That's it, okay? The story is Trump has discussed he may want to take military action. So they have begun drafting plans for that military action. But when they ramp up plans, okay, why are you saying it that way? In case Trump orders, and they call it a military operation, their lawyers are like, we got to be really careful about this one. They say two sources familiar with the matter told USA Today on Wednesday that contingency plans are being developed in case Trump orders an intervention on the island nation. Sources also told Zetio earlier this week that the Pentagon was given a direct straight from the White House to prepare for possible military action in the Caribbean. I'm going to tell you what this is right now, my friends. This is what we call a trial balloon in the media. These individuals who are leaking this story are not leaking this story. In all likelihood, these sources were directed to contact a journalist and float the possibility of a military intervention in Cuba for two reasons. One, to gauge the public response to the story, and two, prepare the public for the eventuality. If Trump were to launch an invasion right now, it would shock the public. Markets would go crazy. I would argue that maybe a month or two, they're planning on a full invasion, military operation into Cuba. Not to be fair, things could change. Let's say the Cuban government sees this and then they say, guys, you're welcome to come in. We don't want to fight. Let's work a deal. That might happen too. So that's a potential other reason Trump wants this to be seen by Cuba. So they panic and then call D.C. and say, what do you want? We don't want this. But I would argue the highest probability is they want the public to be aware of the possibility. That way, when it does happen, they go, he finally did it, as opposed to being caught off guard.
Yeah, I mean, I think every time you see a leak out of the Pentagon with the sort of revamped, security, obviously, like, they kicked out of the old legacy media, et cetera, any leak that comes out of the Pentagon is calculated. At least that's my estimation. In addition to that, it's kind of inevitable. I think Cuba kind of feels inevitable if you just track like how the Trump administration has conducted reform.
And look at the location.
It's right there. I mean, hello, it's screaming out Hard Rock Cafe should be right there.
Oh, and where has a great Cuban American population?
There's no Hard Rock Havana?
There's not a Hard Rock
That
Havana.
saddens me.
In addition to that, you have the Secretary. I mean, if you're talking about like score settling, the Secretary of State's literally a Cuban. His parents are Cuban refugees. And then also
Rubio shows up and he's just starts speaking Spanish, telling everybody he's in charge now.
He's going to do that, and then he's going to wear like a old classical like Caribbean dictator garb. It's going to be really, quite frankly,
drive a 1950s Ford.
It's going to be a beautiful thing. And in addition to that, I mean, the Florida mafia kind of litters the Trump administration. I mean, Susie Wiles is chief of staff. She's Florida. She's tapped the Florida network quite heavily for Trump administration staffing. And in Florida, to play Florida politics, you got to please the Cuban American population there. And obviously, this is a generational score settling that's probably going to go down. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that they think it's like some off the wall, hidden, esoteric reporting, the fact that, Trump is looking at Cuba, it's like the most inevitable thing ever.
Here's the thing, though. I bet the Trump admin could just go to Miami and then Trump himself would go to Miami, hold a rally and just be like, how many Cubans here want to take back your country? Here's a crate full of guns. Grab one. The boat's across the street. And then they all just grab the guns and are like, let's go. And then they just invade their own country back.
Pontoon boats heading across.
And who doesn't? The people yearn for manifest destiny.
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah, and honestly, out of all of our escapades so far, Cuba would be the easiest one. I mean, Cuba's military is really pathetic. They're not heavily entrenched. It would be really difficult for any arms funneling to occur. Like, it just would be a layup, quite frankly. I'm kind of surprised, actually, they didn't go for Cuba first and then Iran. I guess, the priority was limiting, boxing in China.
Well, you have to go after Venezuela first to cut off the oil supply and then the cash flow to Cuba. Then you can go into Cuba under the narrative of liberation.
Right.
And then annex them to Florida and 2 new GOP seats.
Well, I don't know that Trump actually needs military intervention. They're on the verge of collapse as it is.
Yeah.
All he would really need to do is pick up the scraps. After the government collapses, the power's been out for a long time, the people revolt, he just walks in.
Yeah. I feel as though the president I suspect that he's emboldened because he's had so many military successes in the past year or so, starting in Venezuela. And now I think he thinks what's going on in Iran's going relatively well if you consider the military cost. Obviously, we've had, I think, roughly 20 or so announced deaths of service members. Each one is obviously a tragedy. But considering what Middle Eastern wars used to be, the president likes to do it fast and quick, in and out within, I think, what he did.
They say under budget and ahead of schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
They were back in Miami by the evening for partying. Like, it was that quick.
So I think, and obviously what you said, Tate, the administration is ridden with Floridians. Marco Rubio, the current Secretary of State, has had this on his list for some time. You also have to consider how one of Cuba's main allies, again, was Venezuela, and now also Russia, which is still bogged down in Ukraine. I know we like to forget. I think they're, just going on 6 years now, this Ukraine war.
Yeah, 5 years.
But that's really bogging down Russia in Ukraine. Ukraine, and they've been one of their main supporters. They've been sending oil as well. There was one unsanctioned vessel, oil tanker that was allowed to be brought in Cuba, but Cuba is still being stranglehold by an embargo that we have on them. They're next on the list, I suspect.
This is interesting. If Cuba were a U.S. state, it would be around the 34th or 35th largest state.
Yeah.
So not the biggest, right there in the middle, but plenty large. I mean, it's a big landmass. And I think they have, sugarcane?
I do think it's also worth considering, though, the Strait of Hormuz is a very narrow waterway, and it's relatively easy to block it with just some jihadist on a boat. So if there were some Cuban revolutionaries who decided to try to close the Gulf of Mexico, I hope the administration... What?
Is it modern day Che Guevara?
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is, again, a guy in a speedboat with a shoulder-propelled missile to shut down the... Can we
just pause real quick and take a look at all the pieces on the chessboard, and now we start to see it all come into the big picture. We talked about it last night, of course. The military strikes in the Caribbean on these cartel boats precipitated the strikes on Venezuela, the surrounding of Cuba. It looks like everything they've been doing since they got in has been in preparation for large-scale war targeting all of our adversaries. I don't think the Iran war is an isolated incident. Obviously, Trump moved on Venezuela first for a reason. I don't think the shuttering of the Strait of Hormuz is an accident. I think all of this is part of the deep state. Well, I shouldn't say the deep state, but the current intelligence agencies and the U.S. government's plan. I think Trump is just the guy who goes on TV and says wacky things to keep people spinning in circles.
I think it would be fair to categorize, and I don't think it's like slander to say it is a sort of deep state apparatus. Like they've had auspices on Iran for 60 years. So, okay, Venezuela and Venezuela and Cuba are just dominoes that have to fall to make Iran happen.
Yeah, Mark, so you're not...
Let's look at the map, though, right?
Wow.
Look at that. So we got Florida, Cuba, massive, Mexico. Manifest destiny is something that we forgot a long time ago, but Mexico has the manufacturing.
You're saying we should conquer Mexico and Cuba?
Ultimately.
Sounding very James Polk.
What about Canada? Are we going to let them get away with what they do up there?
Most natural resource-rich country, right?
Are you an anti-war guy?
I'm a pro-United States guy.
But what?
And I'm pro-manifest destiny.
If
you like that, yeah.
I was reading your little, your little
manifesto.
book that you gave me. No, I said
if the United States conquered Canada
very radicalized.
and Mexico and added them as states, it would just be a very large United States. So you're in favor of that?
Yes, because we would then have resources and manufacturing, and it would make it so that we'd be more self-sustaining.
Yeah, but we'd have Canadians.
Yeah, but do we own all the productions of...
We make the Canadians mine the things we want.
And we pay them less.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound nitpicky, but I'm reading here. It
Take
says
that, Canada.
It says the end of forever wars,
Bro.
the 20-year career model, is the engine that makes forever
Whoa.
wars possible.
What did he say? He said, get it done quick.
Yeah. That's why I think military should be 10 years, then you get your pension, not 20.
Is that
He
to say
didn't,
you
he didn't
support-
say no war. He said no
I just said make it
forever.
quick.
Forever wars.
Yeah.
You know,
make it
You support his action, the president's actions in Venezuela?
In Venezuela to ultimately liberate Cuba, yes.
but hold on.
You have to do
Hear
one
me out.
before you...
Yeah.
The oil assets in Venezuela belong to the United States. We had a treaty with them to establish oil infrastructure.
Yes.
They shook our hands. Our companies built it, and then Chavez comes in. He takes it all.
Yeah.
He just stole it.
Yeah.
So when Trump goes in and takes out Maduro, he was taking back what was rightfully ours. That's justice.
Correct. And he was also cutting off the cash supply to Cuba, which then allows us to go in under this narrative of liberation.
I guess more specifically, do you support Operation Epic Fury right now?
The Iran war.
In parts. I think that it's executed in a way that will lead to a prolonged war, one that will be much longer than we believe it to be. And by sending ground troops in, it's only going to make it at least 8 months at the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there aren't troops on the ground there now. I guess which parts do you support?
I support spreading democracy throughout the globe. And I believe that we should do that in every way that we are capable.
Well,
I haven't heard that one in a long time.
As long as it's not gay
Like
communism.
that shit?
I mean, I do, but I just haven't heard it.
Now you're
You sound
rocking
like
with
Bush.
me.
I mean,
Got to bring that back, huh?
Cheney. I mean, nice.
No, but like if we're going to be the world superpower, right? Like
What do you think we should be?
Well, we have the most perfect architecture of governance ever created, right? We should spread that. That is our duty. It's America to me is a religion, right? I believe in America before I know. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I don't know what the ultimate truths are, but I do believe that what we're doing here, greatest experiment we've had, and it's the one that can help uplift the most people and make the most people have a better life.
By force.
Well, it seems like all
necessary.
but it seems like all these
necessary.
operations are like very little to do with ideology. And I think this is what separates the Trump Don Roe doctrine from like any previous iteration of American foreign policy, at least over the last 50 years, is because all of these pieces seem to actually be part of like an anti-China posture more so than like
They have to be.
I mean, compared to Bush, where Bush was like purely about like it was like a purely ideological war. Where like I don't think Trump really cares that much about like Iran or Iranians, and that's like fine. That's how it should be. He's primarily concerned with the Americans, and he's concerned about China's sort of.
My problem is the people who are like, we can't have any conflict intervention, while China is saying, that's right, America, go intervene and take over other countries. If China's going to be conquering the world and we're sitting back watching it happen, we're going to be very, very unhappy. So this is the challenge that we have. And I think for a lot of millennials, the anti-intervention stuff largely is born from post-intervention stress disorder from Iraq and Afghanistan, which were botched. It was miserably done. They lied. It was very obvious they were doing a piss poor job. However, that being said, if we sit back and allow China to just start, expanding the Belt and Road Initiative, taking over everything, then we will regret it. It will be very, very bad for all of us because we do not have the economic infrastructure to exist outside the petrodollar right now.
Well, they're playing a long-term game. We're not. Yeah. That's always been our problem. At most, we play a 4-year game. They're playing. I mean, look at Singapore. That's a 150-year plan. China, 100-year plan. We're going to get our asses handed to us if we don't wake up and see that we're managing this like it's a publicly traded corporation, and we're being managed into bankruptcy. That's the problem. We need to look at the country as a publicly traded corporation. We're the shareholders, the citizens. And if we were to look at it, we say, oh, shit, we need to hire some turnaround restructuring bankers to restructure this country and make it so that we have to slash debt. We have to change exactly how we allocate capital and make it so that we actually have a future because we give money away. We don't get a benefit.
We were talking a little bit about your background before the show. Maybe I think it would be good if you had like maybe 30 seconds or a minute to introduce yourself, what your quick background was, why you decided to get into politics, and how that affects the Virginia race now.
Absolutely. Mark Moran, first time, long time. I'm a licensed attorney. Started off as an investment banker, did about $75 billion of M&A, worked on the most value-destructive deals in history, Bayer Monsanto, which consolidated 90% of the seed market, CVS Aetna. And I started to see that the system is entirely designed for people to capture wealth from it, that publicly traded corporations have more power than individuals. That is something the founding fathers never could have envisioned. Corporations were limited in size, duration, and geographic scope at the founding of this country. Now we have the Delaware Court of Chancery, which is business friendly. It makes it so that corporations, they can buy politicians, they can lobby for whatever they want, even the pharmaceuticals.
Is that what motivates your politics more than anything, I guess?
Yes.
It sounds like you're really railing against these big businesses.
Absolutely. To restore power to the individual. That I started running as a Democrat for United States Senate to represent Virginia against Mark Warner. A lot of things happen we can get into, switch to an independent, but the larger ideology is that we're screwed. That we only have a few years left before this surveillance apparatus takes control of all of us.
So just
And
to be clear,
AI.
you started as a Democrat. Were you registered as a Democrat? Would you vote Democrat? How'd you vote in the most previous Virginian election?
I voted for Spanberger. I was a split ticket. Spanberger, Miyares, and then Hashimi.
Why'd you vote for Spanberger?
Well, one, she was a colleague of my father's, but two,
That's politics.
Win some joke. Like not a serious candidate, and that was an offense to my liberty, really.
Sure. I mean,
Why they're like, what is gained from Spanberger?
Oh, nothing. I mean, I now looking at it, we're giving away so much that you can see that she's part of a larger plan that
You regret voting for?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I regret voting for her.
Oh, well, there you go.
That what she's doing to
it's just so recent, though.
It's so recent, but look at how radical it's been. That
No. This is a good point. Just to interject, she did not campaign on being a nut job ramming through a bunch of psychotic policies. She tried playing the moderate. She gets in, and all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Whoa! What is she doing?" Now people are starting to freak out.
Did she?
So I accept Mark saying that he regrets it.
Yeah, I guess you turned a new leaf.
That's how it goes. I mean, yesterday on my show, I had Conscious Caracal, Ernst Van Zyl. He's a South African activist, and like he's literally describing why accelerationism is just like a flawed ideology. Because again, when you like install the left into power to like teach the right to be more radical. All you really do is just bury the right further. To this point, like voting for a supposed moderate. I mean, Mandela coded moderate. Nelson Mandela coded moderate, and everyone was like, yeah, okay, he just wants like wholesome chungus, like racial justice or whatever. And then literally 10 years later, they're like, by the way, if your management's more than like 10% white, we're just like going to completely shut you out of the South African economy. So it's like, it's always going to be a bait and switch all the time. We're in a civilizational battle. Like maybe if America was like fairly stable, then like you could believe politicians when they're telling you.
But it's not stable by design.
Listen.
Well, regardless of what the situation is.
This is the function of politics. Politicians run as moderates all the time because they want a lowest common denominator voter base, which maximizes their chance to win. Then they get in and they do crazy things. Trump ran as a moderate, and his supporters are actually angry. He's not more of a right populist. He's actually a moderate, meaning we got the bump stock ban. Trump's moderate. He's enacting policies right now that have people shocked. Like, I can't believe Trump's in favor of glyphosate. What made you think he wouldn't be? Don't get me wrong. He brought in RFK Jr. I get it. So you thought RFK Jr. would have an influence, but Trump is once again, he was a big pharma guy. He provided a bunch of funding from the pharmaceutical companies. Then you get, now I will say the FISA thing is funny because Trump called for getting rid of the FISA, surveillance stuff. And now he's fighting for it. So I'll give him that one. But with the Iran war, he's repeatedly said that he would never allow them to have a nuclear weapon. And he was pounding around with John Bolton in his first term. So the people that are acting surprised that he's friends with neocons, I'm like, guys, he was the whole time. People were attacking him saying he didn't drain the swamp in his first term, and you were hoping he was going to do it in his second term. I'm not surprised by a lot of these things. Some of it, yes. My point is, the Democrats run as moderates and then go insane. Trump runs as a moderate, meaning you're going to get a lot of these static corporate, conservative policies, and people are upset that he's not actually more of what Spanberger. They want him to be what Spanberger is to the left, but for the right, and he's not.
Did you vote for the president?
I did.
Interesting. Nice. You have a fascinating, political background. I don't know how things are in Virginia, so I'm just fascinated a little bit.
Purple.
It's a purple state, but it's not governed
and the
like
people
one.
Are purple.
And if you
it's weird, it must be something in the water.
This guy's purple.
Well, it's just hair, honestly, and that's dye.
I think there's worse stuff in the water here.
I did
dye my in the Potomac. I think there's a sewage spill or something. I don't know if
in DC, like a historic sewage pipe burst and it's just spewing sewage. And everyone's just watching.
No one says anything. You look at Mark Warner's Twitter profile page, his background image is of the Potomac at Great Falls Park. It's also massively being impacted by data centers, and we don't talk about that at all.
You've been railing a bit on data centers. How is that a significant issue? Maybe you could educate us a little bit. I think, they have more data centers than the average state. Why is that an issue in
a government-funded infrastructure, right? Then that expands to Tyson's Corner, Virginia, where MAE East was, the first large-scale hookup of the internet. AOL goes there in 1986. AOL expands to Ashburn, Virginia in 96. That creates Data Center Alley, the most highly concentrated place of data centers in the entire country, which then now leads to the fact 70% of all daily internet traffic travels through the tubes in Northern Virginia. So we have 665 of them, 514 planned.
And this is what I keep telling people. The government AI systems operating out of Northern Virginia, which they have not disclosed because it's classified, is substantially more powerful because it is taking the entire internet as its training data set, whereas these other companies have to use isolated data pockets.
That's why they're all in Virginia.
Indeed. Elon bought Twitter because Twitter was a data training set. So that he launches XAI right away, he merges them, and it's worth an insane amount of money. All of these other, like ChatGPT uses Reddit and other internet scraped things, and they're getting targeted for it. They're saying, hey, you can't take these things from us. The government just has the internet. They can take all of the data from everywhere for their secret military project. And for the life of me, I can't understand when people are like, the government doesn't have this. They rely on Claude and these other companies. No, guys, that's ridiculous. The big concern that Donald Trump brought up in his first term with Project Stargate was that China can't be allowed to beat us militaristically using AI. So the U.S. military has absolutely been developing this at a faster and higher level. Companies have restrictions. The government does whatever it wants, and it has black sites to do it and black budgets to do it. There was tell me if you know about this, because you might know more than I do. Last year, we were researching a lot of the AI stuff, and there was a reported power consumption discrepancy in Northern Virginia, where the amount of energy required for this population size would have been, I forgot what the number was, but there was something like a 250% discrepancy in the amount of power consumed. The presumption was there are data centers operating in Northern Virginia that we don't even know of.
Of course there are. It's entirely by design. I mean, DARPANET created the internet, right? Like, it was created by the government, that all of these webs that we go and we participate in, we're giving our data away, which is why all the data centers started here, because of the latency effect. The closer you are to it, then boom, more information.
I think I just figured something out.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the Terminator scenario.
Yeah.
Because if the AI takes in all of what humanity is on the internet and uses that to create an amalgam faux consciousness, it will just stay home masturbating all day.
Yeah. It'll be a gooner.
That's all it will do. They're like, the government is, government scientists are going to call in Trump and they're going to be like, Mr. President, we're about to turn on the machine. Congratulations, sir. It's done. And he's like, tell me about it. And they're like, this AI has computational power 1,000 times stronger than all leading private sector LLMs. And he turns it on, and then it just makes the ooh-ooh face, and it's like, starts just mass producing porn like crazy. And he's like, what is it doing? Like, sir, this is what the internet is. Its personality is an amalgamation of what people are on the internet, which is 80% porn. That's what you've created.
But to that point, the internet started off as a way to connect and share information, right?
Yes, but hold on. Yeah. But, sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
The speed of the internet was only increased because porn companies needed to transmit these images faster.
And that is exactly right? Like this sex.com. Have you ever read that book on it? It's a great book. I'll give you the link. But that was the most popular site for a while, right? There's a widely regarded dispute on it. But it became this thing for porn, right? Because you had to go to the Sears catalog growing up to look at anything. Then, at the touch of your hand, whatever you wanted, that's a way to destroy society. It's the same thing with gambling. That it's like the more you push this stuff, and look at OnlyFans, right? Look at the value destruction and the life destruction that does to both the creators, but the people consuming it. It makes it so young men think one thing is real, that they're talking to some girl on OnlyFans, when in reality it's a chatter in Indonesia.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand, though. Do you think these data centers are bad? Should we have more of them, or should we govern them differently? How would you handle things?
Yeah, we should govern them differently, because right now they are taking energy from the main grid that we pay into, right? We pay for the capital improvements of it. So if they're going to be using more energy than a typical household, well, the people should be subsidized or get a benefit from it. So what I propose is a compute tithe, one based off kilowatt hours that the data centers are using, to make it so that if we were to put that on there, well, that would be enough to fund universal community college.
It would, in essence, though, be a tax on these data centers in one form or another?
Well, based off how much energy they're using, right? So I would push back against the term tax, because as a former banker, what all of these investors are doing right now, whether it's private equity, whether it's a hedge fund, whatever company, they want one uniform federal regulation for data centers, right? They want them to be designated as critical infrastructure, so that then, instead of dealing with 50 different states or even having to go to Native American nations, that they can say, okay, we can expand across state lines. We can do this. We can do that, right? It gives uniformity in capital planning and allocation. That means they're going to get money. The investors, they can fucking have a company go public. They can ultimately get liquidity and make it so that they're getting what they put their money into. That's going to happen regardless of who's in office. It's going to be some House of Representatives member who gets their campaign funded. So if that's going to happen, well, I see the future of that. I want that to happen. I propose that. But I want to put a compute tithe on them so that the people can have education, because if AI is the culmination of all human knowledge, well, shouldn't we get a benefit for it?
It's going to get absolutely insane. And all joking aside, I don't think that the AI will just be a gooner itself. But the Terminator bots are not going to be, we talked about this before, but they're not going to be skeletons with guns looking all evil. They're going to be like cat-eared, sexy anime waifus walking around, because that's what's going to manipulate humans into doing what I'm half kidding. But AI is going to be the perfect companion and give you everything you want to push you into doing certain things that it wants you to do.
Yeah, look what they've already done, where it's like before, if you wanted to order DoorDash, it'd be like an angry Guatemalan who's like on the verge of deportation, where now it's just like a little car that rolls up and it like makes chirpy noises and it's like fun and you almost feel bad for it.
I actually rather enjoy the videos where people
destroy them.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I don't want anyone to do that. Don't do that. Don't vandalize things that don't belong to you.
Definitely don't do that.
But when I see these videos of people like, there's a video, you know what? I'll just settle on this. I like the videos where these things crash. and get hit by cars and stuff.
Did you see the one get hit by a train?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Beautiful.
It could be like a hormonal issue or something, but I feel really bad.
With the robot?
Yeah, when I see the crashes, I'm like, poor guy.
You might
feel
be
bad.
trans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a woman.
And it could be, and I don't have the same reaction for the previously stated the Guatemalan DoorDashers. I'm just like, well.
You know, I will say
up
this
for
though.
it.
Like when I'm watching a movie, what was I watching today? I watched The Boys, and I was watching Invincible. And
Polly, great movie.
there's just so much gore in both of those shows. One's live action, one's a cartoon though. And my wife is like, I don't want, like, don't let our daughter watch this. This is gory and disgusting. I feel nothing when I'm watching a movie and like a dude gets shot. But if a dog gets hurt, I'm like, turn it off. Turn it off. Those robots I enjoy. So like robots, I enjoy when they get smashed. People, I'm just like, oh, look at that. They shot the bad
A
guy.
dog, yeah. I cried
like-
during Air Bud. I get it.
It's real. The I Am Legend scene where he has to kill the dog. Oh, brutal. But then you'll watch a movie where they're like killing hundreds of thousands of people, and you're like, this is a good movie. Yeah, this is interesting. It's like, it does weird things with human psychology, or it's just me. I don't know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's exposure to the internet. Like, we weren't designed to consume the internet the way we do in the volume that we do, right? Like, I'm 34. I grew up on a kind of a verge of generations where we had it probably like fourth grade on. But now you have kids growing up with the internet. They're iPad babies.
Yeah.
Nah, not my kid.
Yeah, not yours, right? But think about everything.
We're raising my daughter like it's 1981, and then when she's older, what we're gonna do so we're not gonna let her go anywhere or travel at all. And then when she's finally like 15, we're going to stage a cataclysmic event.
Okay.
And then we're going to be like, oh, what happened? Oh, we've been transported to the future. Oh, gee, what's this thing? Tablet. Oh.
Raising her like it's 1981. It's like, yeah, the Falklands. I don't know what's going on.
It's like a Rumspringer for the Amish.
We're gonna play only news from the 80s, and we're gonna get like an old UHF TV.
Yeah, I'd be like,
And
I
it's
don't know.
gonna
The
be
British
like-
got to get down there. Thatcher's got to do something.
Blast from the
And then we're
Past,
gonna-
that movie with Brendan Fraser.
We're gonna. That's right. Yeah, we're gonna build a big fence around the property and be like, you can't go outside because the radiation will get you.
That's based. This Reagan guy, he's doing a decent job. I think he's all right. We'll see.
Yeah. Make America great again. I like that saying. That's a good phrase. I wonder if a president in the future might say something like that.
Like this Trump University thing's going nowhere. It's dead in the water.
Look at this Trump guy on Oprah.
Yeah, he's interesting.
Look at that.
He's really obsessed with Iran. I don't know what his deal is. He keeps talking about
No, it's too late. We've already shown her all of the 90s punk rock. It's over.
Oh, wow.
She's been
That's
exposed.
That's a containment breach.
Containment. It's done.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the story. We got this from Time magazine. Trump says Iran war close to over, hints at possible deadline ahead of royal visit. Indeed, he said that China, he's permanently opening the strait, making China very happy. And I can't figure out. I should say this. What Trump says does not matter. I don't know if the strait's actually been opened for China because Trump just says things. All that really matters, and we talked about this last night, is what is happening. And now we've been talking about Trump might go into Cuba, might go into Venezuela. I think at this point with his Cuba news and his stuff with China and all that, I think Trump does not care. He's not up for re-election. I just don't. And you know what it is? I was thinking about it. Even if the Democrats win the midterms, they can't stop his foreign policy agenda. That's the one thing that they cannot do anything about.
Yeah.
Now, they can have judges say, Trump, you can't do that. And he's going to be like, you have no authority under the Constitution. And he can order troops to do things. So it kind of seems like Trump's just, we're doing our foreign policy thing for the next several years and no one's going to get in our way. Domestic policy, I think he's shrugging on.
Just blackpilled on the midterms and saying, F it, we're going wherever we want, we're doing whatever we want. Instead of making the political calculation, no, he's acting in America's interest, not in his own political interest. What a true patriot.
Well, Mark, you made the point earlier, and it's true, is like this is kind of the flaw of like democracy broadly, is that, again, like American presidents have to think in terms of 4 years. Honestly, in terms of 2 years, because of midterms it happened. So it's like, it's really difficult for American presidents to conduct a truly proprietary foreign policy. And then I was listening to Michael Tracy. He made this point. I don't know if he still like is on this or not, but he was saying like, yeah, Trump, I think, is just kind of given up on the midterms. He might be just looking at the numbers and saying it's untenable. We're probably not going to win, so I might as well just like put my name in the history books.
Or they have other plans for how to win that don't involve public opinion.
No, I mean, they tried the Save America Act. It was never going anywhere. They also tried redistricting a bunch of red states to gerrymander further. That didn't go anywhere.
Well,
backfired.
on that point,
Like, it only got worse.
some would say it backfired, right? Because then you have Virginia potentially going to a 10-1 map, right?
Yeah.
But it's all reactionary. Democrats only know reactionary politics.
You've seen the new map for Virginia,
Give us
right?
some credit.
And it is an affront to liberty.
It has 5 districts.
One sheet is a lobster.
That's true. But 5 of the congressional districts have little tiny strips that connect to Arlington to guarantee that they get a massive spattering of Democrats in all of these districts.
Yes.
It is evil.
There's something to say, though, about how the Republicans and the president really did initiate this round of gerrymandering and then just got mogged over it. They really
Mogged.
But you
Democrats
say mogged right now. I don't think that. I think Trump's playing 5D chess. I think that he.
give it to me.
I think that he could tell that you look at what's going to happen in Virginia. You see Senator Louise Lucas, who told me that I wasn't welcome in her party after I came out against gerrymandering. That you know what she's going to do. It's a power grab.
What's the 5D chess part? Losing the midterms, okay?
No, then Virginia responds, right? You do Texas, Virginia responds, right? Then you get Cuba. That's 2 new GOP seats.
What?
Under a narrative of
think of it?
liberations.
This is 5D.
You're saying he's going to make Cuba a state.
No, he'll annex
Before
it
the
to
next
Florida.
midterms.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's a good idea.
Florida takes Cuba and Cuba just becomes Florida.
Yeah, that way we could keep
and
it
he'll say Michigan is 2 different strips of land. Why can't we do it here?
Yeah, wow.
Salient.
Maybe they could just get Puerto Rico, too, while we're at it.
I mean, with the paper towels, as long as we're shooting them in there.
So long as we could water down the Democrat votes in Puerto
Let's
Rico with
focus on
the
Cuba.
patriotic Cubans.
problem is
they're
there's-
all the same. Who I mean,
It's true, okay.
a distinction without a difference.
Burrito, I don't know what's going on over there. But like the problem is there's 10 million Cubans, and like all the Cubans that are conservative have left. So it's like all the ones that are left behind. I mean,
they're
I know there's,
impoverished, right?
they're-
They want an opportunity for a better tomorrow, which is
then
America.
As soon as the Democrats just start dangling the identity politics keys, that's gonna.
No, they'll be thankful and loyal to the president who liberated them.
Not even.
guys,
decades, their children will be loyal to the president.
Correct.
They'll be saying, "Oh, how we were told stories about the great president who liberated our
Like what
parents and
Kennedy
animals."
should have done.
Like how Marco talks.
If Democrats never did the gay communism thing, they would have controlled the government for the past 15 years.
Well, then they wouldn't be Democrats.
I guess, but I mean, in terms of their foreign policy views, in terms of their tax policies, healthcare, if they just did not do translating the kids, if they did not do weird, woke, anti-comedy stuff, they'd have won. Joe Rogan would have been like, I don't know, I don't care. They're fine. Instead, they were like, no jokes allowed.
That's fair.
And trans in the kids, and then people were just like, I'm out.
But it seems like the animating issue.
I'm sorry, real quick. One of the big stories today is that California is providing free sex changes to homeless illegal aliens in and Tate was saying earlier, it's like a right-wing
wasn't in the
headline
Bible.
generator.
Yeah, literally.
And I was saying this in my segment. It's like Gavin Newsom just was like, we need to do something, just press the auto leftist button, and they just combined a bunch of buzzwords together. But they are literally
Mad
using
Libs.
it's taxpayer dollars being spent so that homeless illegal aliens can get sex changes.
Yeah, literally. Like they were like Governor Newsom, Hassan's hitting you really hard. He's like, we got to do something really gay. Like we got to do something obnoxiously gay, and we got to do it quick.
Meanwhile, no one has healthcare.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's
Unless
all
you're
fake
trans and
politics.
legal.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you get it. But an American who was born here doesn't have it.
Yeah.
What is the answer though to healthcare? I feel like the
I don't think
Republicans.
anyone knows.
I mean, he was
Well, he
hinting
might
on it
know.
a few
He might know.
times. I feel like that might be part of this.
One start is, as a former healthcare investment banker, there was one moment.
Former healthcare investment bank.
Yeah, I know. I worked for Peter Orszag, who
You
implemented
sound like
Obamacare.
a politician. Yeah.
And then later Rahm Emanuel. And so I saw the evils firsthand. Removing publicly traded companies from healthcare, right? Or at least changing their behavior, because a publicly traded company has a fiduciary duty, it's called, for their shareholders, right? So they're managing to make them money, not for the patient. And we lose as government. We're spending $1.5 trillion in Medicaid a year. We just give it away. We don't get any equity in
They
these
shouldn't be
companies.
publicly traded. So what?
Or
Should
if
the
they
government
are-
be involved in how much should the
Or if
government
they
own?
are, if we're going to be giving these healthcare companies $1.5 trillion, we should get equity in it. Because if we were to adopt that across industries to everywhere the government is giving money, well, we would be able to have birth accounts with $25,000 at birth for every kid born in America.
So you want government to have a stake in these companies, the ones that we subsidize. We subsidize, right, this industry because we want healthcare to be cheaper for Americans.
But wouldn't every investor who gives money to invest in something, don't they get an equity stake? That's all I'm saying, that we should manage this like a publicly traded corporation and then to the benefit of our people.
Yeah, I guess I guess government is already very involved in healthcare, but
just giving money
wouldn't that
away.
only further government involvement, though? And as a capitalist, as I understand, the more the government gets involved, it makes the incentives more perverse. So government getting involved in healthcare hasn't made it any cheaper. You want to solve that problem with more government in healthcare. I know healthcare is a very complicated.
No. I'm talking
idea?
about the equity stake, because you're a capitalist, right? So what we're doing now is anti-capitalist. We give $7 trillion away each year. The United States government spends it.
When you say that, are you talking about Social Security?
All of it in
Medicaid,
totality,
Medicare,
right?
Medicaid,
Even the
Medicare,
$1 trillion on our interest that we spend, right? In totality, we don't get anything from it. There are companies, Northrop
Well,
Grumman.
wait, are you specifically? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Medicaid and Medicare when you say we're giving them?
So a
this
company
money
called
or in
Centene, which is a $150 billion company, we give them 97% of their revenue. Yet we have no equity in that. So what are we doing is my question. We're acting as a poor fiduciary. And if we were to get equity in it, well, that incentivizes this publicly traded company to grow, to manage for its shareholders, because we are the shareholders now too. The government, if we're going to give all this money away, which is our money that we pay in taxes, well, we need a benefit. And we don't have one right now. And we've never looked at the government as a publicly traded corporation. It's time to look at the government.
Are you a Medicare for all guy?
I am a healthcare is a basic right, but Medicare for all is not going to work.
What does
It's
that
never
mean?
going to
It's a
work.
basic right, though.
I believe that healthcare should be free for all American citizens, and that we should have something much more similar to the way the uniformed services have them. That people are subsidized to go to medical school, that they benefit the community, basic treatment, normal.
Well, hold on. You'd have to deport every illegal immigrant to do that.
Well, I think we should have closed borders. And that I think what we should do is when we do that, well, then you can start enforcing through the actual employers, right? So when ICE went in the Central Valley of California, they stopped enforcing because all of the large corporate farmers said, hey, this is really affecting us, right? So they went elsewhere. What I'm saying is that we're always going to have certain labor groups that we're never going to be able to actually fulfill with domestic Americans.
I feel like you're missing.
That's absolutely not. That's a
You don't
myth.
think so?
Absolute myth. When in Trump's
Farm workers?
in Trump's first term, ICE raided 3 meat processing plants and deported something like 800 people. And within a week, there were lines out the door from American-born Americans trying to get jobs. One of the guys getting interviewed, white dude, was asked, why do you want to work here? Americans typically don't take these jobs. He goes, it pays more than the gas station.
Well, and with those processing plants, I agree. I was talking about farm work, but with this, I agree. Like, let's look at
You got to pay.
Let's look at Smithfield in Virginia.
The companies, the farms, should pay a wage that attracts American workers to work those fields.
I agree with that. I just don't know if in the free form of capitalism we have now that'll happen. But going to Smithfield,
It'll absolutely happen.
okay, and
Let me
I
ask
would
you-
love that.
Let me ask you a question. We're opening up a coffee shop. How would you like a job working behind the counter, running the cash register for me?
How much?
Good question, and that is the correct question. How much do you want?
I mean, for me, if I can come on here once a week, I call it $25 an hour. I would do that for service with a smile.
That's a medical investment banker,
No.
Tim.
You nailed it.
Used to be.
Hold on. That was the correct response. Most people say no. I wouldn't want to work that job. No. The correct answer is how much.
Yeah.
And that's the question that these farms.
Yeah.
When they put up jobs saying we need people to work these fields, it's not a question of Americans don't want to do it.
How much?
It's a question that they don't want to pay. Their concern is this is a sickness our country has, where a lot of these farms say, listen, we pay $10 to $15 an hour. Typically, Americans don't want to do that because they want to find a higher paying job. Well, then pay $20, $25 an hour. Yeah, but that means I got to sell the kale for like $30. Indeed, you do. And then the people who want it will have to pay $30 to get it. But guess what? They're working on your farm for $30 an hour. That's the point. When we do this game of bringing in illegal immigrants, it's an addiction that drags the system down and stunts the economy.
Destroys it on purpose.
And now we have simultaneously people like Zoran Mamdani saying, people aren't getting paid enough, so food's too expensive, so we're going to do government grocery stores and things like this. That the government is I'll put it like this. A lot of libertarians say government is the problem. I don't agree with that. I'm not a staunch libertarian on government. Government should be enforcing our labor laws and our immigration laws to protect the American people so that these companies don't do these things. I agree with Bernie in 2016 when he said open borders is a Koch brothers proposal. We don't want to do that. I firmly believe that if we were to make these jobs competitive, that guy who burned down that factory in Ontario,
Who wanted $27 an hour?
I thought he was getting it. The rumor is that he was getting it. Yeah, well, so the reporting I saw was that he was getting 27 an hour, and he said it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Because or he was getting 23. I looked up the average income for that factory. It was $23 an hour.
Okay.
So this guy said that's not enough. And it was funny because some other guy interviewed said, it sucks. I just started making good money working here. But again, to the point, not to interrupt, but you can jump back to where you're at. I think that I got to be honest. You go to a Gen Z guy who's 18 and say you want to work the farms. They're going to be like, how much does it pay? And they're going to say, how much do you want? Be like, I don't know. And I got to tell you, $20 an hour, they'd be like, all right, I guess. Roll up your sleeves.
But also, too, with that, it's that anyone 18 to 20, right? Like either they're going to go to college, they're going to take out loans, they're going to screw up the rest of their life by doing that, right?
Yep.
Their job is going to be destroyed by AI. But this is what I'm getting at with the community college system, that we have to have an entire rethinking of education. That 18 to 20, you should be able to go work at the farm, $20 an hour, $25. Figure out if you like that or not. Maybe you want to be in upper management of the farm, which seems very slim because it's a farm. But that we have to really think about this because meaning has to be provided in work too, right? And I think that's my biggest concern with where we're going with AI, that if we remove meaning from work, what do we have? Our culture was built because of the industrious nature of the American people. And that is something that we need innately to our core. And if we don't have that, then who are we?
Yeah, I think we have a cultural problem.
Yes.
That if you go to a Gen Z guy who's just sitting there on Instagram scrolling and say, you can actually start working right now to save up, all you got to do is go work on a farm, they're going to be like, no.
Because they don't believe in the future.
There's a viral video that I want to pull up that I got everybody all mad at me for because they're like, no, Tim, you're wrong. This woman is correct, but this woman is not correct. She's a commie. And let me pull this. The video is going massively viral. I think you guys know what it is. I got it right here. Let's play this. Let's play this video. She swears a whole lot. It's kind of annoying. Here we go. I got to unmute it.
We are living all types of fucking wrong. Like, you mean to tell me I've actually fucking had it with the United States of America because, baby, we are living all types of fucking wrong.
We're not.
Like, you mean to tell me I got to go to work 40, sometimes 50 hours a week only to get 2 weeks of paid vacation while the rest of the world gets fucking 5? Peasants used to get 154 days off. I'm not even treated like a fucking peasant anymore. I got to drive an hour to work and back if I'm lucky. If I pay to fucking commute, I'm paying for a train or a bus or an Uber fucking ride. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm paying for fucking tolls on fucking roads that my tax dollars already pay to build and fucking maintain. I got to pay to get a fucking driver's license or a license plate for the fucking driving on the roads that my tax dollars again paid to build and fucking maintain. Then I need an oil change, a tire rotation. Pads are fucking $1,000 per axle on a base model Kia Optima, bitch, since fucking when?
We get it.
Yeah, it's called the
We
first
get it.
world.
Sales tax. Also, that my fucking pedophile of a Satan worshiping, baby eating president can blow up fucking children halfway across the world and stop resources. We got a looming energy crisis. We have a fucking food shortage affecting the entire fucking globe. My tax dollars don't go to fucking healthcare. They give me just enough healthcare to keep me alive long enough to fucking work. But
Let's start from point number one.
Clearly, it's her
In the
time
beginning,
of the month.
she says that peasants got more days off than she did.
154.
That's not true. This is because peasants who lived on farms didn't farm in winter, but they still had to struggle to survive, meaning chopping wood and hunting and huddling together for warmth, fearful that if you run out of food or banditos come, you will die. But I have a solution for her. It's simple. If you want to live like a peasant, it can be done. Sudan awaits. There will be no air conditioning. There will be no internet. You will make $50 per year. You will make barely enough food to get by, but you'll work relatively little compared to what you do here in the United States. You with your education, man, you'll be a king over there. So what really irks me about these communists, and then she starts talking about Trump being a Satanist pedophile. Let's go to the next point. She says we got a food crisis around the world. I'm You know what? I'm a Democrat. Every day, I'm more and more on board with how Democrats, their political philosophy is we're smarter than you and we know it. So we're going to lord over you by tricking you. I'm kidding, by the way. That's what I'm kidding about me wanting to do that. My point is, let me ask Elaad, let me ask you a question so we can get through this. If you have a group of people who live in an area and they are consuming all of the food available to them, and so it's not enough and they're starving, what will happen if you bring food to them?
They will become dependent on me.
Why?
Why? Because I'll keep feeding them.
Well,
Why would they?
Why would they become dependent on you for food?
Because I would be providing them the resource, and they wouldn't need an alternative because I'm providing.
Not that they would need it. Is that there isn't one. So if you have starving people and you say we're going to go to an area where people can't produce enough food and bring food from somewhere else, they will need that forever. And here's where it gets real good. Do you know what those people will then do if you are feeding them consistently?
They will bite the hand that feeds them.
No. What will people do when they have adequate food?
Get fat and lazy.
No. Anybody?
Tate, phone a friend.
They'll have
When they have
children.
adequate food,
They'll have
they
children.
babies.
They'll make more people. And then guess what? Then they'll knock on your door and say, we have 3 new babies. We need more food. So it is impossible, functionally, physically, and economically impossible to solve the hunger crisis because we don't live surrounded by Star Trek replicators. If there is a region on the planet that produces, let's just say, 7 million calories, and you have a population that consumes that 7 million calories per year, they cannot produce more people beyond the amount of calories available for consumption. If you then bring in artificially 1 million calories and they consume it, they will then reach population equilibrium with the artificial influx of food. Then when you take that food away, they will starve and you'll have more starving people and they will require a larger subsidy, creating an impossible and endless cycle. But these people who post these videos, these are first order thinkers. Mary Morgan said literacy was a mistake because people can't understand the things they're actually reading. And sometimes I agree. I don't know if I'd go so far, but man, sometimes you feel it. Because this is how you get communists. Zoran Mamdani opening his stupid government grocery store. Did you see this? $30 million to open a 9,000 square foot grocery store in 3 years. It takes a year and I think $2 to $5 million to open a comparable grocery store in the private sector. Mamdani then said, but actually only bread, milk, and eggs are going to be reduced cost. Everything else will be the same. That's government. It's not going to solve the problem. He's going to create this, it's going to be like the DMV. It's going to be like Pruitt-Igoe. There's going to be crime, poverty, and theft. The people who work there are going to are going to look away as people are stealing everything. It's going to struggle to make money. The funny thing about it is that it's $30 million despite the fact they already own the land. You know what I think it is? No, I think it's Zoran Mamdani going to his buddy and being like, hey man, I'm going to make you a millionaire. You're gonna do the contract work for us. We're gonna hire you, and I'm gonna give you $30 million for it. And his friend goes, I don't know, man. It only costs $5 million to do the job. Nah, that's how government works.
You know, I wonder what would happen if somebody stole from the government-owned grocery store, and if police got involved, would they get physical with him? And then what Zoran Mamdani's response would be to that?
Everything has shown us that's not going to happen.
I love
No, but he's just anti-cop, I guess, would be the...
And I love that she's just complaining about like basic functions of the first world. She's like, it costs money to get a driver's license and to register my car. I'm like, yeah, that's called being in America.
What she's speaking of is just a larger hopelessness that Gen Z has, right? And it's because if you look at housing prices based off the median wage, it's gone astronomically since 1940.
That's true, but I will stress this. There is a standard of life, of living,
yes,
that Gen Z and millennials expect that did not exist for boomers and Gen X at the time. And they want the luxuries as well as the excess. And historically, it always got better for the next generation. That is not true now, and so I can understand some of that angst. That being said, you can always move to rural West Virginia, where you're 2 hours away from from a bunch of major metros. So if you move to let's just say you go slightly inland from the Eastern Panhandle in West Virginia, you can find a bungalow for $100,000. I know you don't have $100,000, but it's okay. You can get it for $5,000 down, which means you do got to save up. And then you're going to be spending $600 a month on your mortgage. And you can farm, largely not need to make much money if you're growing your own food in your yard, which is not too difficult. And then you get your car You can drive a couple hours to be in any major metro that you want. I'm not saying it is preferable. I'm not saying that it's good for our generation, but to complain about, I got to pay tolls and I got to register my car, and I got to do all these things. It's like, indeed you do, but you could choose to do something else. What she is saying is, I want luxuries, but cannot produce enough for society to give me ease of access.
Yeah.
I will never be on the side of a person who's like, I want more, but I can't produce. That's called nature. I'm sorry. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to your point, that example, that's the most American way of living that there is, right? Self-subsistence. Like, this is what Jefferson fought against Hamilton for. Decentralization. The idea of an agrarian society. And then you look at urban areas, like let's look at Fairfax County, Loudoun County, the spread Arlington through from DC, where now, okay, you drive your Tesla, you eat your corporate slot bowl for $15 at lunch, maybe $20. Then you go to your rented apartment that's owned by a private equity firm. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy because you're consumed by your phone. That's a derivative of.
Leave.
But I think she's articulating a completely different. I agree that the root of this is nihilism, but I think there's like two splintering resolutions for this nihilism you're seeing among Zoomers. Some Zoomers look to the right and they say, well, I don't have meaning in my life. Like, that's the issue. I don't have meaning. Everything feels like pointless. I feel a void inside of myself. That's not what she's articulating. She's articulating a shortage of material items. And that's why she's finding difficulty participating. So in her instance, again, where I was like, she's having trouble sort of articulating what her problem is, and she starts lashing out, like, again, first world amenities. It's like, you would still be a loser even if you got all those things.
Let's just remove the context of like the thing she wants and just go to pure numbers. She says, I require X amount of monetary units. I only produce X minus 5 monetary units. I am so mad at the United States. The problem is, we as a nation, the West really subsidizes people who are net negative production.
Yes.
That ends in only the worst imaginable ways. And people die. So you have, the thing about humans that's interesting, that sets them apart from, say, deer. A few years ago, we had a deer overpopulation issue in Western Maryland. They had consumed all of the available food and reproduced like crazy. So they were all very gaunt and sickly and slow. And it caused a lot of car accidents. And they were like, I think the government was saying, like, guys, you need to go hunt these deer. There's too many. It's deer season. You need to cull them so that they go below equilibrium so that they don't all like be nasty, sickly, and diseased. The problem is deer walk around eating leaves and, things like that, and berries or whatever. Humans rely on other humans for various tasks. One human will gather, one human will hunt, one will make the fire in the shelter, and then we combine those resources. Because of this mentality we've had, we have built a society that tries to subsidize everybody else because we're trying to be like, I'll provide for you, you provide for me. The only problem is, in the wild, if one person was producing in detriment, a negative, they were consuming more than they were producing, it was tolerated only to a certain point until the society failed or they cast that person out. In modern society, where we don't know our neighbors and we don't talk, it's difficult to see who is a consumer and who is a producer. This woman is complaining that she is a consumer who wants more. The problem, this is what leads to communism. I am a producer. I work an insane amount I work 16 hours every day and sometimes on weekends. They then come to me and say, we should take from you because you produce too much. Okay, I'll stop and I'll just work the bare minimum. So what do I do? Well, everything's expensive. What did I do? We move out to West Virginia where land is cheap. We build here where labor is cheaper. And now we have a large property with a big studio at a much, much lower cost. Instead, you know what I should have done? I regret it. I should have complained to the government and demanded that they steal the assets from wealthy people and give it to me so that I can have it. Then I can live in the city. That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, but it's also a system of design by how our government functions, right? Because we give people things for free. We subsidize, right? To your point. But until we change this whole thing where we provide basic necessities, but then you allow the individual to rise, which is what America was founded upon, that's the only way this works. But we're in an over-leveraged society right now. We can't keep doing this.
Universal basic income will never work.
No, it won't at all. It'll destroy.
But this plays into universal health care as well.
Sure.
You're subsidizing the health of individuals who can't pay for it themselves. That system is guaranteed to collapse. It's high school basic math. Not even high school, it's grade school math. Input is negative, output is positive, system goes bankrupt.
But when the medical cost ratios are mandated by governments, for health insurers, rather, well, that system's all an architecture.
Well, we can agree that the structure we have is broken.
Yeah.
That the healthcare pricing makes no sense.
Yes.
And there's got to be a change to it.
Sure.
But the idea that as a country you can guarantee all healthcare for everybody.
Not all. You can, basic.
I agree with basic.
Sure.
And my argument is if you break your wrist, you walk in, they set it for you.
Like, so you're saying how you would define it, just to be clear, like an urgent care setting?
Yes.
Type thing? Okay. I fully agree with that. Right?
I think we should have publicly funded urgent care. Like,
I love that.
And so that means your average, like I've had to go to urgent care.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. It's not super expensive. And I wouldn't mind paying the $40 for somebody who needs to go in and see a doctor for 10, 15 minutes so they can get some Tamiflu and not die of the flu.
Yeah.
The problem with universal health care in the bigger picture is that there are a lot of people with more complicated illnesses that require millions of dollars in treatments.
And we're never going to be able to cover all those, right?
Surgeries and other crazy things.
Or advanced treatments that if you have a little bit more money, you want to go down to Boca Raton. We're never going to be able to do that.
I think I don't see a big problem with stipend urgent care kind of systems where if you go to urgent care, here's what we have to be careful of. If the government guarantees things to doctors, then people will overuse it.
Yes.
And it will result in perverse incentives. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with the old apocryphal story about the snakes in India or whatever? Mm-hmm. Was it the snakes? It was in India or something. This is probably not the correct version. I'll look it up. But it's like the British colonials in India were like, we got a bunch of snakes in this village. So they said to the villagers, if you bring us the heads of snakes, we will pay you for them. This will wipe the snakes out. So what did the villagers do? They started breeding snakes. Smart. Yeah. So you have to be careful about subsidizing things to create a perverse incentive.
Absolutely.
The general idea is there was a story about a 12-year-old kid who got the flu and the parents didn't know what to do and they couldn't afford to go to the hospital. He died. And they were like, it was just a bad flu. And if they gave him even a little bit of medicine to get his fever down, he could have survived. And I'm like, that kid should not have died for that. That's stupid. Or the stories of people who like break a bone and they don't go to the hospital because they're like, I don't want to get a bill. Or people who have emergencies and won't call an ambulance. Mm-hmm. Yo, I had an emergency. I called a taxi. I called a cab.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I'm not spending $500. Yeah. So in 2014, I got a kidney stone hanging at my friend's house, and all of a sudden it felt like I got stabbed. And I was like, oh my God, something's wrong. And so I was like, the hospital's a half mile away. I just used the NYC cab app and called a cab.
Yeah.
And I was like,
in New York though. That's the thing.
They had cabs.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll spend the $10 on the cab. I'm not spending $500 on an ambulance.
Exactly.
What's interesting.
That's kind of nuts. But I do understand an ambulance is expensive. Yeah. So finding that balance is very difficult. I think universal basic healthcare, which is you are sick, a doctor will see you.
General care.
General care and emergency rooms, they're relatively cheap as it is. I don't think they will be overrun by people if we subsidize that to a certain degree. To a certain degree, I say. That means catastrophic, serious injuries that require deep surgery, you're going to get treatment for you. We're going to triage you. We're not going to let you die. We need to figure out how to absorb those costs without putting that on everybody else, which is what happens. I don't know how you solve for this. It's not easy.
So how you do it is that we're giving away $1.5 trillion a year to Medicaid companies. You look at a company like Centene, $150 billion. We don't get anything in return. So going back to your point,
when you say we get nothing in return, aren't we receiving the healthcare services in return? Am I missing something here?
The people are, right? So it's a redistribution
we're
of
paying
wealth.
on their behalf, though. So
we're paying taxes to the government for then the government to send and just give away to then treat people who don't pay taxes.
Well, you want healthcare for everybody, so they're not just, they're giving it away to people who presumably would need it.
But if 97% of revenue for, say, a Centene comes from government distributions, well, we're in the negotiating seat. We should get equity in it that builds, that grows, so that that company runs.
But you want healthcare for everybody. How else? I'm trying to understand.
Basic healthcare.
If the government isn't the one providing that, then how else would you get there? Because I think what you're explaining now is the government's already heavily involved, and we should,
in terms of giving money away, which is not capitalism.
I think providing healthcare for everybody would only get the government more involved with paying for these services, and the healthcare companies would make even more money. And the perverse incentive.
They would pay more money, but if we were to actually manage this as a fiduciary democracy, rather than giving money away, which to me is socialism, we would be in a much better place.
What is it? I mean, do you want a single payer system or a nationalized healthcare system to achieve healthcare for all?
No, I believe that corporate law and governance is more successful than we have been at our own governance, right? That you have shareholders, you have fiduciary duty by the company to manage to the shareholders. Okay, so we're going to disperse all these dollars to help people who need Medicaid, who are not going to pay taxes, right? We know that. Okay. The best company wins on that, but then we get equity in that company. That grows. It grows. There can be disbursements for it. We can all get a
our
check.
equity in that company create perverse incentives? Then the government would have interest in giving contracts and awarding more contracts to that company because we have a stake in it.
The government already does this through lobbyists. Politicians are bought and paid for by lobbyists based off the contracts they're going to get.
You want the United States to have a stake of ownership in these companies?
Yes, it'll be a national trust fund, one that then does.
You want to nationalize our healthcare industry?
No, that's not what I said at all. That a trust fund that would have equity in publicly traded companies by default can't be nationalized.
No, but just growing equity in these healthcare, they'd be like.
But so you're saying you want to just give money away? That's a socialist perspective.
No. I think that we should have government less involved in healthcare because I think they're the ones setting up perverse incentives and making healthcare costs more expensive by assuring these companies a lot of these contracts, as I understand it.
I would say that's the entire employee-based insurance system.
There is it's a narrow, but there is a right-wing argument for health insurance, and the primary one, obviously, there's like the nationalist argument. It's like, well, healthy workforce means healthy military, et cetera. But it's actually like if you get granular, is if you provide, I'm not arguing for this necessarily, I'm just presenting what the right-wing argument would be, is that if you provide public health care, the government now becomes directly incentivized in the health. They're directly interested in the health of their citizens, and that it increases. So, there's all these MAHA reforms.
It's population health management.
What you're seeing with MAHA now would be kicked on, it'd be on steroids if the government now had stake in the health of the population. Again, I don't know for sure if I subscribe to that, but that would be, in theory, that's what people have presented as sort of the right-wing argument for public health care.
But to that, and maybe this might make you change your perspective, is so we have this totally sickly population, right? Look at our military-aged men, right? Okay.
We pay the most per capita for each individual patient that's... I forget the exact statistics.
Yeah. And we know it's insane.
We pay more per person than countries with nationalized healthcare and single-payer systems.
Exactly, right? And part of that's the overhead. But another part is just our entire food processes to go through that. And how did that happen? Well, in the 90s, a guy I worked for, Blair Efron, who founded Centerview Partners, he did the merger between a very large tobacco company and then Nabisco. It was the largest leveraged buyout at the time. Mm-hmm. What they then did, and this was the plan because they knew the government was going to come in and start suing all the tobacco companies. They took those scientists behind the most addictive thing at the time, cigarettes, and put them on processed food. And that's why we're all screwed up, because then that becomes addictive. That started in the 90s. Now look at where we're at now. People live in food deserts. The government's the problem with all of this because of how it's allocated capital, how it's enforced.
I think a lot of the sentiment that in the video that we were watching earlier, it's a sentiment that needs to be dealt with. I think there's a grain of truth in her complaint, and it's that there is an affordability crisis for many in that country, and the resentment that breeds helps proliferate figures like Zoran Mamdani. Today's tax day, and he actually just announced a surcharge on homes valued above $5 million when there is no resident who lives primarily in New York City. This is going to generate the city $500 million in revenue annually. Would you support something like that?
No, absolutely not. I believe our entire tax system is broken, that essentially the lawyer class, or caste as I call it, is captured, allowing then for corporations to screw around with tax codes more. We should move to a consumption-based tax. The entire system of taxation is one that hurts the middle class. It's designed to hurt the middle class. But if we move to a consumption-based taxation system, that's more fair. Like, you have more money than me, you want to buy a Lamborghini, that's fine.
You have a lot more money than me. You're a lawyer. Part of the lawyer class is you're railing against.
I was, but I've spent everything that I have to get here to be able to tell you this, because this is a message that's just universal fairness. It's not left or right. It's one that we have to structurally change this country. One is consumption-based tax. Because, look, if I'm a rich guy and I have all this carried interest, I'm never going to pay the same tax that, like, my father, who's a military psychologist, would pay. That's not fair.
Sure. Not everybody starts in the same place. I saw also on your pamphlet that you gave me...
Manifesto.
Manifesto. You're not taking any corporate PAC money. Why is that? I don't know. Have you been offered any corporate PAC money to reject?
I have not a significant amount, but
How does that work, though? Do they come to you and they're like, we represent a PAC and we want to spend money on you? Or do they write a check?
they'll say, we'll throw you a fundraiser. And so what happens is you say, I'm thinking about running for office. Maybe you tweet about it, right? First consultants come to me. They say, okay, you're young, you're charismatic. You're going to be able to raise a lot of money. We're going to take 15% of what you raise, put it in a bank account. You'll get that after the election. I thought, oh, that's how the control first begins. I was thinking about running for Congress. Then we ran a poll because why does no one challenge this guy, Mark Warner? He said he was going to run for 2 terms. Now he's running for 4. He's 71. He really hasn't done anything. All his donors are corporations, the banking class, former bosses. So I run against him. But then I realized no one runs against this guy because it's by design. So they try to take you out. And the Democratic Party has so many ways of doing this, whether it's signature fraud, petition fraud, which makes me wonder where all these votes come from.
Well, let's talk about your story, because you're a Democrat, but they kicked you out.
Yes.
Why?
They kicked me out. One, I disagreed with gerrymandering. And so Senator Louise Lucas, the head of the Virginia State Senate, came out against me with that.
Wow.
And then I was instructed by someone within the party to hire a certain guy to help get signatures, because you need 10,000 signatures to get on the ballot, right?
Yeah.
Well, the party is the one that vets the signatures. So I start looking through these signatures. I see my own name on there.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, so I develop an AI to do some handwriting analysis, send it to forensics guy. Majority of these are forged. It turns out petition signature getting fraud is a very common thing. It's cottage industry.
Yeah.
So they'll get the first 2-3 signatures on a page. Then it's called tabling. The group will then fill it out.
Pass it around and
Yeah, and then you can look at it and just see. So if I had turned those in and hadn't realized that, they either could have destroyed me at that point or had control over me for my entire political career.
Wow. Because then they come back to you and they say, hey, guess what? You committed fraud. You work for us now or go to prison.
And that's what they do to everyone, which is why when Santos, who was just here, and he said I was going to have a blast, so, and I am, but he said 500 out of 538 are compromised in the House. That's true. Wow. It's by design to represent the people. You're compromised.
So you were what is it? Act Blue. That's what happened. You were collecting donations and they just cut you off. And you were a Democrat.
Yeah, I was. And you have 14 days to file your paperwork to switch to an independent. They cut me off within an hour of dropping the video saying I was going to do that. Then the next platform, Numero, they dropped me too.
I'm trying to understand.
So you have to use WinRed. Would they let you use WinRed? I bet they would. This is crazy.
Why? He's literally a Democrat that got kicked out, though.
Because the Republicans, this is what the Republicans do.
I'm a patriot. I consider myself America only, that my views...
Republicans...
What's Democratic?
No. Republicans would come out and you would get one of the members of Congress saying it is a disgrace that they removed him from the ability to fundraise for no justifiable reason. This platform is supposed to be neutral fundraising. This should be illegal.
Well, let's talk about it in a larger picture, right? If this is all by design in a theoretical crazy world, right? Well, every college campus that I'm scheduled at, that gets canceled a day before. I find out Mark Warner hires the head of the college Dems to become an intern. He hired 500 across Virginia, so I can't speak to colleges. Then we have the signature stuff. And now we have the payment processors. It's a system by design. It's RICO.
This was during the primary, the Democrat primary. Okay, well, they was trying to squeeze you out because he's an incumbent, obviously.
Exactly. And he's also the main fundraising arm for the DNC.
That makes a lot of sense. I want to ask, though, it's a bit curious because U.S. Senate's quite ambitious.
Yes.
You haven't served in public office prior to this, as I understand. Why aren't you going for something lower level? This race is a long shot. It makes me, I'm a little bit cynical. It makes me question why you're even running. But, I mean, what is the purpose of running? And then why not run for something, a lower office, a little bit, somewhere where you might be able to actually win?
Sure. First, I was going to run for Congress initially against Don Beyer in the 8th District. He's 76, sold my dad a lemon of a Volvo, so I have some anger against him. But
you know all these politicians, man. You kind of sketch.
I mean, I grew up in McLean, Virginia. What do you expect? I was produced by the beast, which is why I hate it. And I look at it, and the system is by design to pick the worst amongst us to represent us, right? Because only people who are willing to sacrifice their morals and values will run for office, and they get compromised every.
Wait, so what happened in that race? So you couldn't primary him? Or
oh no, I could have, but we ran a poll because I was just genuinely curious. Why does no one challenge Mark Warner? Why is he running for a 4th?
Because he's an incumbent, and Democrats would rather go after competitive races to try to build their coalition. I mean, that's just the basic.
To me, it's Virginia, right? Let the best ideas win. I believe that we should live in a society where.
But you understand why these political groups would want to fund money, not for people to primary their incumbents. They want to,
or it's that he has dementia, and then what happens is after 3, 6, 12 months, he steps down, says he wants to spend more time with his family, and then Spanberger gets to a point, whoever, let's say, a woman named Dorothy McAuliffe.
Backdoor dealing. Yeah, you're totally right.
That's what it is. So I don't want to live in that.
What do you hope to achieve, though, with this campaign? You're a long shot, to say the least.
The message is that things by design are screwed up. This two-party system is what Washington warned us against, right? That it'll create artificial division. Like all of us, we would identify with different parties right here at this table, but we're only given 2 options. And I look at it as now is the right time for a new political party, one that puts America first, America only, and then we can deal with the rest of the world.
Quite the progression from being a Democrat to being America first and America only. Quite a few months ago, you were a Democrat.
Why not?
It's quite the evolution.
Why not just run as Republican?
Well, I very much disagree with the enforcement of ICE. That I look at it as one that there's a guy now. His name's Victor. Day labor. He gets his ass beat, pulled over side of the road, speeding. I speed all the time, but he gets beat. They hurt him so much they maim his hand. And I asked him, do you think they did that on purpose? He said, yeah. He gets thrown in the Farmville detention facility for 60 days, right? Like, I look at this, okay, one thing, but let's look at the technology of how they got him. The surveillance state is what's slowly encroaching around us all. We have maybe 2 years left before we have 7 tech oligarchs controlling us, right? So all that tech's being used by ICE right now, and we're divided over illegal, white, brown, whatever, when we're losing the bigger picture that this country, if it was founded on the premise of a rebellion against oligarchy, well, we're allowing ourselves to consolidate into oligarchy.
But the problem is, like, with the demographic trends in the United States, like, any conservative politician is going to increasingly have a tougher pathway to victory. I mean, that's kind of the whole impetus of ICE. Like,
that's why I ran as a Democrat.
Well, yeah, I'm sure ICE, like, okay, yeah, there are these instances of brutality or whatever. Like, I'm not denying that, and I'm like, I'm a pretty staunch, anti-immigration guy. But as I see it, I mean, look, it has to get done, because for anyone that's conservative, even if you're really concerned about a surveillance state and that sort of thing, with the current demographic trends in the United States, it's just going to be completely unfeasible for a candidate on that platform to even win.
Do you support ICE?
No.
Why not?
Surveillance state. The technology they're using, the flock cameras that feed into the Palantir database, that is going to come against us all soon.
Should illegal immigrants who've committed crimes in our country be deported?
Absolutely.
Okay, and how
I've called for
the ICE shouldn't have
No. Elaad, I take offense to your question.
Why? Because you're sensitive.
Should any illegal immigrant be deported?
Well, I wanted to get the gradations first. I wanted to make it.
I'm just like, I get it. I'm just tired of that talking point where Trump said we're going to deport everybody, and then Democrats came out and said Trump said he was only going to arrest criminals. Like, what? No, he's going to deport everyone.
Your position seems self-defeating. If you want to deport illegal criminal aliens, you want to use any technology available to do so, and then just like the cop-out being like, oh, well, I don't want Palantir to have our data. That's the most effective way to do it. If you actually want mass deportations, then you're going to have to use some data collection technologies, and I don't understand.
But that's going to be used against all of us. Well, that's the thing.
I mean,
soon we'll have social credit.
I'm going to be deported soon. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, but hold on. But like, this is not an immigration.
Depends what you say.
The issue of immigration is not emboldening the AI companies and the surveillance state. That's happening irrespective of the illegal immigration. So why not at least say we can solve the illegal immigration issue, and then we'll deal with the other stuff after the fact?
Oh, I fully believe we can solve the illegal immigration issue. We should have closed borders. We should have the safest and most secure borders that there are. Why do we not?
What do we do about the millions?
An alligator moat? Like on the border?
Lasers, all of this stuff, right? Like, whatever. Come on. We're the United States of America.
Great. The border's shut, but we have tens of millions of illegals in our country right now.
And then you go after it through the employers first, right? Like, you can offer an amount of money to have people self-deport. And I fully believe most will self-deport because they don't have money.
Well, Trump did do that, and I agree with that.
But a lot of people did do it. But how are we able to determine who's employing illegal immigrants without scraping data? I mean, it's going to be inevitable. Like, there's no other way to approach that.
Random raids on businesses.
Well, I mean, you could
just
do that.
Kick the door in, just grab the.
But I think if the two propositions are random door-to-door raids of businesses, irrespective if there's any tips or whatever, versus surveillance state, I mean, I think the surveillance state is actually preferable than just like random door-to-door raids.
You support American hegemony. Palantir is involved heavily in our military. Do you support their involvement in our military and their data collection? That's what helps prop up.
Well, I mean, we know that's going to be a massive issue in the future, right? Like 10 years from now, people will be talking about egregious violations of certain various codes that Palantir did in warfare fighting activities.
I'm just trying to understand. This is what helps us give us the military edge, and you don't want us to use it?
So what gives us the military edge is not fighting. It's the threat of force. We have entirely decimated our shipbuilding industry.
As far as Palantir is used in our military, they help make the military be more effective.
I mean, if they can detect a heartbeat from 100 miles away, like, I'm all for that, right?
Okay, but that data could be used against us, though. Eventually, down the line, the big bad government can use it against us.
No, but seriously, imagine.
But do we have politicians talking about that? Like, do we have anyone having an honest debate about this now?
I think it's good. I think it helps the military. I think it helps ICE. We have leftists bitching about it.
Okay, I'm just going to say this.
But Palantir is base.
You are identifying real problems in the expansion of the technology surveillance state. We can't do anything about it. We are barreling head first towards a tech apocalypse, a dystopian nightmare. But it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do. Like there's no reality where a bunch of like 1 million Americans with torches shut down the data centers, shut down these tech companies. Literally never going to happen. It is integrated in our economy. Our adversaries use it against us. We use it against them. It is the nature of reality right now, and will get worse.
But even
we shouldn't use it to deport illegal immigrants. You libertarians.
Well, because irrespective of that, I mean, irrespective of that, it's like okay, without mass deportations, because we're not gonna get the birthright citizenship ruling. It's just not gonna happen. So without mass deportations, we're not gonna have a country in 10. It doesn't matter. Like it's kind of over. The clock. We probably ran out of time 10 years ago as far as like immigration enforcement. So I'm kind of willing to break glass in case of emergency in this instance.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering why this is like your ground zero for that. Because I look at it, we have 2 years till this is all over. Like this is not this.
He's right. I've been talking about the AI stuff, and people just don't get it. It blows my mind when I bring up the AI stuff, and people are like, "No, I don't think so." I had a conversation with Joe Rogan a few years ago, and he asked me what I thought about AI and this video stuff, and I poo-pooed it. And I said, I'm not really worried about the deepfake stuff and the videos. Like, I think people are smart. And here we are today, and I was like, boy, was I wrong about that. It is, industries are going to get wiped out overnight. We talked about this a couple nights ago. The technology that these companies have would end, like administrative jobs, managerial jobs will be gone right now. The easiest example without rehashing everything. It is harder to produce a Hollywood quality song than it is to manage an office with like 10 employees handling insurance accounts.
Yeah.
The management job is tedious. It doesn't require the greatest of minds to do something. And I think most people who do those jobs would agree that it's largely just about doing busy work. AI can already automate that, and they've intentionally held those capabilities back because it would gut like a quarter of the US economy overnight.
At least.
They released all of the video and audio stuff because this it won't gut a large portion of this economy. It will gut the Hollywood. Music and Hollywood are in trouble, but that's not going to burn the U.S. economy down the way the administrative work will. 2 years from now, just watch. It is going to be insane. In China, and even in the United States, they have factories for distribution, kind of like Amazon. I don't know if Amazon's doing it specifically. I think Amazon is. They're pitch black and there are no lights inside. Have you seen these?
No.
They're big windowless blocks, and inside little robots are going around moving boxes and bringing them to trucks for delivery. They don't need lights inside because the robots don't use visible spectrum to see where they're going. They use infrared. So we don't need to waste electricity. These are just big black boxes. We are heading to this future. I don't even know if it's fair to say we have 2 years. What we are seeing in the media landscape, you know what? I'll say this. Maybe the alarm bells are ringing for me because I'm watching it happen in real time with YouTube and AI-generated content.
Yeah.
I guess just my question is, why is ICE the sticking point? Because I mean, like I agree. I mean, I do agree that there is a potential risk involved with.
Because he's trying to attract moderate voters that are concerned about ICE.
Well,
He's a Democrat until a month ago.
That was the question I get asked, right? Like, honestly, do I think that that's that important? No, not at all.
But that's what the president ran on. He ran on mass deportations.
And that's holding you from running as a Republican is purely, I mean, not purely, but like the number one thing is ICE. It's the first thing that you cited.
Well, that was the first thing I said. But more structurally, I think both parties are screwed. There's a fracturing on the right, but there's a left to be fractured. I want to break the entire Democratic establishment. I look at it, if there were to be a movement, one, America only, America first, what have you, right? Because that branding is fractured from the right. To take the infrastructure of the Libertarian Party, well, that party now can compete, ballot access, all 50 states, boom. That's something that will then siphon off votes from the...
How is being against ICE an America first and America only position?
It's the surveillance.
Through the surveillance?
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I guess the government shouldn't have the military because they could use it against me.
Are you opposed to the FBI doing the same thing?
Well, I think the FBI is one of, and the CIA, the two worst organizations that we've ever had that have created significant...
Should we abolish all of it?
Well, I think it's time to start thinking about new systems of government, right? But specifically agencies. Like bureaucracy happens because over time things get entrenched. People make decisions and worse gets worse and worse. Like, come on. Look at the CIA. When have they ever been successful, right? Bunch of guys from Princeton, never been able to do anything.
They recently rescued, I think it was at least 2 airmen in Iran, thanks to the surveillance of the CIA. And probably Palantir was heavily involved. I don't know, is that crazy?
But why isn't the United States military doing that, right? Why isn't the National Guard enforcing the border?
The CIA provided the information.
We had Maduro's entire house mapped.
Yeah.
And they got him in how quickly, right?
45 minutes.
I'm saying these are good things that the CIA has done.
I think the military should be doing this. I don't think we should have a CIA.
But the military is going to contract with Palantir.
It's a distinction without a difference. You just want the CIA under the Pentagon.
I mean, I agree there's problems with the 3-letter agencies. I'm just contesting like that the surveillance state is the reason why there's issues with the CIA, with the FBI. I mean, I think those are more structural.
Oh, no. The CIA is, I believe, managerial. And when you talk about the CIA, well, that gets directly to Virginia politics, that they're installing candidates in there.
Wasn't Spanberger a former CIA agent?
Yeah,
and you voted for her. Mm-hmm. It's just
she was a colleague of my father's.
But you're railing against the CIA, and she used to be an agent.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a rebel.
Yeah, you're kind of all over the place. I don't know if I'm...
I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you were a Democrat a month ago, so
this is
going
crazy.
through an evolution.
Abigail Spanberger was a CIA officer serving as a case officer and operations officer, as well as special agent. She was involved in the assassination of several world leaders in various South American countries, where she personally slit the throat of.
That's a reason to vote for her.
I'm kidding. I made all that up.
Yeah, no, that he was getting too good.
It was getting too. Her votes are going up.
Wait a minute. Wait one damn minute. Yeah, I would have
door knocked for her.
Could you imagine her like swinging into like the Generalissimo's bedroom on like a rope, like decked out in gear? She pulls out a knife, and he's like, "No!" And then
I would have been door knocking, pamphleting. I'd be like, get this.
Yeah, I guess I can't really tell what
she's watching right now, and she goes, "I did."
Well, you're trying to frame what I believe in a left versus right narrative, right? Like, I don't ascribe to that. I look at it as America, to me, is the most important thing that there is, right? So that's the advancement of American interests and American people. I believe our interests are misspent outside of this sphere. That's why I made the comment about Mexico and Canada. I think we should focus a little bit closer to ourselves first. Let's solve those problems, right? We won't need any immigrants. We won't need a manufacturing base if we were to develop or, acquire Mexico, right? Natural resources, boom.
It's the only country I don't want to acquire.
Yeah, that's like a demographic.
What's the point of the border if we move the border down to...
I guess my question is like, it's a tough position because like, okay, I understand what you're saying. It's not about right versus left. It's about, it's like the anti-elite kind of framing. But the problem is if you have a dispensation against immigration or illegal immigration, in this instance, like you want deportation of illegal immigrants, that's going to put you squarely on the right. It's going to put a target on your back from the left. So it's like, for most people, they never assign themselves on the right or assign themselves on the left. It's just that certain policies that you ascribe to are just going to firmly put you in that camp. And so I don't think it's... I don't know how productive it would be to try and like escape that paradigm because it's like you're already kind of penned in by default because of your policy.
I think we should make being Democrat illegal.
I agree. Yeah.
They did for him.
Well, like
they did it before I could.
I'm kidding, but like the way you described it with it's rigged.
Yeah.
It's like all of these politicians are corrupt. Look at Swalwell.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is now
design.
accused of drugging and raping women. Like, wow. And the conspiracy theory is that those videos of him with these hookers were part of the recruitment process.
It is.
They say, if you, like, this is a conspiracy theory, but they say, if you want to hold office, we're going to film you with hookers. That way you won't betray us. And then they use it against him when they want to dispose of him.
Mark, is that what they made you do?
Yeah, so I already did that.
No, he did that by choice.
I did that myself prior, right?
You were on the F-Boy show? What was the...
F-Boy Island, hosted by Nikki Glazer. But no, like, the systems of control are all around us, right? So now if someone, an enterprising young mind, wanted to look into Mark Warner and figure out how he had such a meteoric rise in 1980 from Harvard Law to head of fundraising for the DNC, and what was his used car dealership in Chesapeake, Virginia doing? How much money did he make? Who was he to use the term quote unquote laundering is what I've heard. Was he laundering money? Who was he laundering it for? Did that help his rise? And then did he just continue on in a legacy of Democratic politicians who become compromised? Even the Clintons.
What are you saying? He laundered money?
I'm asking the question. That's what people tell me.
That's what people tell you.
That he had a car dealership in Chesapeake, Virginia in the early 80s where he was making $600K laundering money for the mob because the mob was the main financer of the DNC, organized labor.
Interesting. This is the Democrat machine behind the scenes.
Correct.
I guess it would make sense why they'd want to keep him around.
Correct. And also why he wants to stay around. Why would a 71-year-old who has $250 million want to keep working?
Ego. That's why does anybody want to be a politician? Why do you want to be a politician? People say they want to help the people, but in my experience covering campaigns of all these different positions, it's all self-aggrandizing at the end.
I mean, I could be an investment banker right now and have a lot of money. I
might go back to it. I mean, you're running a race.
Because merging companies together is like an affront to liberty. It's just a natural decline of society, right?
Well, so my prediction, Elaad, is that in the next couple of years, he will be the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is going to be shattered. Their apparatus is not going to make sense. People are going to be craving something moderate. It's going to be a prime opportunity for people like Joe Kent, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. To realign the Democratic Party. So he's getting involved now at the ground level when the Democratic Party is in disarray and infighting over Hassan Piker.
But the problem is you're always going to be ejected every day until Sunday. Again, if you just hold basic positions like I think illegal immigrants should be deported en masse. And I'm not saying I don't know what your position is, but like if you're pro-life or if you're like skeptical of trans stuff, you're out. Like
yes, but the point is he is going to start building a following among moderate Democrats who don't like those things and be part of a realignment that may be coming. I don't know if it is, but may be coming in the next couple of years where more and more Democrats who are moderates and having conversations but disagree with us gain prominence.
I mean, it's the fourth turning theory, right? Every 80 years, a realignment.
Well, that's more about people killing each other and going to war.
But and also, if the concern is...
No, the Strauss generational theory is dictating that in 2 years we will be in a full-scale war.
Oh, yeah, we will.
I mean,
I think you get that, right?
Here we go. Look at this story from Reuters. Pentagon approaches automakers and manufacturers to boost weapon production. World War III. Trump cut off China in the Strait of Hormuz. And you've got Hegseth saying, or I'm sorry, it wasn't Hegseth, it was Miller saying, we can do this indefinitely. We will choke out Iran. But really, he's saying China. Yeah. Sooner or later, China says, we cannot wait any longer. And moves get made. The Pentagon going to automakers saying, can you guys make weapons? Sounds a whole lot like more war is coming. Trump talking about, or the Trump admin preparing for an invasion of Cuba. If Trump moves into Cuba, do you think China moves into Taiwan?
No.
Not a chance.
I think we're defeating this access in detail by taking them on individually. And then down the line, China just wouldn't have any allies if they did try to bog us down in war. Russia's bogged down in Ukraine. We took Venezuela off the map.
I think Russia's on Trump's team. The three biggest beneficiaries of the Iran war is Saudi Aramco, ExxonMobil, and Gazprom.
Well, and also
always has been corporations.
Well, and also,
no. This is Russia, Gazprom, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Aramco, and ExxonMobil, the United States. These three countries are the principal energy producers. Venezuela was taken out of the picture. Trump sees that. Right now, this war is a detriment to every other country. It looks like Trump went to the Saudis, he went to the Russians, and he said, we make all the energy. We should run the world. So Europe is screwed. They're freaking out and pissed off. You've got China freaking out and pissed off. Everybody outside of the major energy producers is freaking out and pissed off.
Well, he's hurting China. That's the goal, right? Like, again, to the 5D chess point, like, I agree with him on this, right?
Well, doesn't this present the potential? China then says, we're about to get crushed. We have to go to war.
We know that's coming. When you war game the Pacific Theater, there's a reason why they built up their Navy. That's what I was getting to the point of it's peace through deterrence. And if we have the biggest, baddest Navy, arms, all of this, right? Like, we're sending all this money to Northrop Grumman, but we're getting equity in it because we all want to benefit. Well, let's do it, okay?
I'm on board with that tagline as long as you keep saying peace through strength. I guess I'll get
Well, then let me hit you with one, right? Why are we letting the Chinese invade our country, right? Let's look at Smithfield in Virginia, right? That gets bought by a Chinese firm, okay? We have all of these Chinese who have land around military bases. Why has no one come out and said, come on, we're losing this domestically? They're in all of our academic institutions. Come on. My dad told me anyone who went to Peking University is a spy. There's a kid on my learning team in business school at UVA, Peking University.
There's 300 some odd Chinese student visas that are currently active right now.
Cancel.
All of them.
And prosecute, potentially, depending. But look into everyone who's been given one. Why are we doing that?
Should it be indiscriminate, or should this be evidence based? Should we just say, hey, this
indiscriminate? We are going to go to war with China, so it should be indiscriminate. That we have to treat things seriously rather than this kind of half poo-poo way that we have done things. Like, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's like, hey, if that's our enemy, if we're in this AI war with them, right? We need to take all precautions necessary. We should not have any Chinese nationals studying in our academic institutions, working in our government. Come on. This is America.
I agree, actually, completely that, like, okay, I think our domestic policy does need to be mobilized against, like, CCP elements inside the country. There's no question about that. I mean, the farmland thing, everything is just ridiculous, the student visas. But I guess I contend that, like, it's an inevitable war against China, because I'm like, if anything, I think that's actually more and more unlikely as we continue to rack up sort of geopolitical wins, because I think the effect this is having on the Chinese is actually more of a demoralization. You can make the argument, okay, when they're backed into a corner, then they strike. But actually, I think they're just increasingly skeptical that an operation on Taiwan would even work. And I think China would rather just sort of play ball in this instance, because look, they just watched their entire Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, the war, hasn't concluded. It's still, unclear how this is going to resolve. But, it's fair to say that their Belt and Road Initiative has been hampered by the Iran operation. So they're just continuing to see geopolitical loss. That to me is a reason why they would be kind of hesitant to actually make any moves right now. Like Russia made their move on Ukraine after the Afghanistan withdrawal. They said, oh, there's blood in the water. Let's mobilize.
Sure.
This is not the time. If you're China, this is not the time to strike. They have some domestic strife. They have a lot of domestic issues. They're kind of worried internally right now.
They're going to have more and more domestic issues, right? Like, look at the real estate bubble that they have. So they're not thinking of it the same way that you're describing, that we think about them, right? If you're the ruling class in China, you may be thinking, okay, this is all going to get out of hand pretty soon. Once this real estate bubble bursts, we got to make some moves now, right? And they may say, hey, the U.S., they're at a point, there's going to be a new president soon. We can cause chaos. We'll be able to appease Trump however we want, but let's go cause chaos, because that's what a war is.
What's your position on the Russia-Ukraine war?
I think the Russia-Ukraine war is the biggest money laundering scheme that has ever been put into existence. When I drive around McLean or Great Falls, Virginia, where I grew up, why do I see more Ukraine flags than American flags in front of mansions?
Why do so many Virginians, you tell me you were born and raised in Virginia, why do so many Virginians support Ukraine?
Because they're part of the complex, the military-industrial complex. It's an asset pillaging of our country, of our money that we pay taxes for, right? This is why I keep going back to the equity point. Because if we're going to give a company money, Northrop Grumman, 97%, okay, we need something. But otherwise, what's going to happen is then that money, the government contracts revenue, right?
I know I've been shitting on this model. However, the president did take a similar position when he came to Intel. He took I forget what the percent stake was.
10.
Yeah, because we did bail them out or something, but that's because this was they saw it as a form of national security issue.
Sure.
Which was to domesticate the chip industry. And
well,
I guess
isn't having Northrop Grumman be
it could
the
make
best
sense with the military industrial
of Northrop
complex.
Grumman?
Yeah, I mean,
that's national
if we beef
security.
them up more, I mean, I guess why not?
Bigger, badder, bolder. That's the American way.
So that's obviously to say that you don't support sending additional weapons or money to Ukraine in their fight against.
No, and I want a full audit.
Okay. But what do you think, I guess, of the Russian invasion, despite not believing that we should support the Ukrainians?
Well, Russia is a fascinating topic because it's one that I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm 34. So
I'm 32.
Okay. So we grew up with Russia as this big, vast enemy all the time. Like, boomers are like, we cannot let them Have we had an open dialogue with them? Why can't we just, like, see what they got going on?
Because Putin's a conniving dictator who's a part of the KGB and, like, is responsible
George
for the
W.
deaths of multiple
Bush's father was head of the
politicians.
CIA.
And that's based, though. That's advancing American values. Working in the KGB is not advancing American values, right? We support American hegemony.
Well, obviously not.
That's
It's
why
a different
Bush
country.
Senior working in the CIA is a good thing.
But
and Putin being in
dialogue. and seen where we move forward, right? Because the North Pole,
you think Putin's
the
an
North
honest
Pole will melt.
actor here?
What?
You think Putin's an honest actor?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't say that. But his daughter's doing an interesting DJ thing in Paris, so.
That was kind of.
This guy knows everything. Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know. Did you go? You look like you could pick her up.
Anyways, so the North Pole melts, right? All of these shipping lanes open up, right? It makes sense for us to at least have a dialogue with Russia. I mean, we got to get Greenland, and I'm all for that. I'm manifest destiny till kingdom come. So, and we need.
What are we doing here? Negotiating with Denmark, huh?
Yeah,
Small.
like this, too small. Who
Yeah, too
cares?
small.
Let's
Huh?
take
What are you
it.
gonna do about
Let's
it,
take
Guys, after Cuba. You take it after Cuba.
Yeah, like forget Iran. Come on, we're going. We're taking it by force. Like there was some clip of like their prime minister of Greenland. He's like, "We're scared." Like, I don't care if you're scared. We need it.
You should be scared, actually.
I think we could make a deal in supporting Ukraine for more sovereignty over Greenland. I think that would really
I
get the
like
Europeans
that, actually.
excited. Yeah, quid pro quo.
Or how about this? We don't cut a deal. We take Denmark too.
You know, I don't want to
now I
ruffle
like
too
that
many
one.
feathers.
Seize the Lego production, Ozempic. We need Ozempic for national security.
Yeah.
So it makes
Norvo
sense.
Notice. Yeah, absolutely. Take equity in Norvo Notice.
Yeah, maybe I'm still naive.
And we would force the free town of Christiania back into the governmental fold.
I agree. I think it's ridiculous. And also the renaming of Nook is Gothab. So when we take Greenland, we're restoring the Danish name. This ridiculous anti-colonial third worldist crap's got to
the
end.
most niche shit I've ever heard.
Amazing.
Oh, we're Inuit. We're Inuit. You're Eskimos. Eat the blubber and shut up.
In all seriousness, Denmark is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Hot take.
Well, we can take
It's
Iceland
awesome.
too.
I've been there. For some reason, I've been to Denmark more than many other countries. Somehow I just ended up there. Like,
Your favorite place more than America?
Ooh.
This guy, barely a patriot.
one of my favorite
Danish
places.
double agent.
I also love
He looks like an Eskimo.
Madrid, dude.
I have a second
Madrid,
home in
bro.
Copenhagen, actually.
Are you an
Madrid-
Inuit?
Korean.
Okay.
You all look the same? Is that-
Well,
Madrid.
roughly.
It's true. I agree. Madrid's great.
Madrid's great.
Dude, I went to Madrid.
Europhobic.
I had the time of my life. You go to one of the tapas bars.
I don't need to leave.
I walked up and I was like, "Una cerveza, por favor." He gives me his little tiny beer for €1, and I'm like, "What is this?" And then he shoves 2 gigantic plates of calamari just to the top.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whose is this?" Is you? And I was like, I look at my friends, and they were like, "That comes with the beer." And I was like, "What?"
Also, the interesting thing
Amazing.
and Spain is an outlier in the West because it's actually the rural areas that are heavily liberal, and then Madrid is like a very right wing.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's an
We
inverse.
really haven't
Is
seen
Malaga?
something like
Malaga? I went there too. That was awesome. I had a bunch of pork. They got pigs down there.
Barico pork is
Yeah,
They ate
but in Denmark, there's like one of the best burger joints I ever went to, and I got to figure out what that name is because it's just awesome.
Denmark also has like a really pragmatic immigration policy that like liberals seem to be okay with, where they're basically just like if you don't assimilate, you're gone, and they actually have
Which
they
is what
scrape-
ours should be.
But you won't like this. They scrape a lot of data to get it done.
Okay. Let's profile all my views. Look, you've never met someone more racist than a Mexican who came here legally.
I thought you were about to say
Until me.
I thought you were going to lean back and go, yeah, nobody's more.
But okay, see,
Look, no one.
I'm an honorary Hispanic. I date a Latina, so
Fair enough.
we're working on the Spanish.
Who's assimilating who?
Now that's a good question. That's a fair
Ben
question.
Shapiro did talk about the browning of America. He said it's not a problem.
Exactly.
But it sounds like they're browning our white people.
They're trying to recolonize, which I try to stand up to in my day-to-day life.
You want to annex Mexico?
I do.
That's
I mean, manifest. We need something to be excited about. Come on.
Do we not? I'm saying this with total love in my heart for Mexicans. Do we really need more Mexicans in this country? I mean, like, it's getting a little crazy. It's getting a little. I mean, come on. Don't isolate it here. Carter,
okay,
you're from Texas.
man.
Take your pick: Mexicans or Somalis.
Why? Whoa.
Can I kill myself? Is that an option? You can disavow. It's fine. You're running for Congress. You can disavow.
But no, but to your point, assimilation is key, right? Like that, I have different views than you guys on immigration.
Sure.
But it's the assimilation is key. I'm Irish. You look at Irish, like most successful group because they came, they did the jobs they had to do, then they got political power. That should be the process.
Yeah, there's conversation about though the pernicious influence of these Irish Catholics on our media.
There always has been.
Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. I mean,
I think Tucker Carlson,
Rachel Maddow, O'Donnell. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, and then obviously Joe Biden Irish? I think he was at least
Joe Biden's Irish
Very
Catholic, yeah.
obnoxiously
Catholic.
Irish.
Nancy Pelosi.
That's Italian.
Oh.
Which might be half.
At least Catholic?
Okay,
I think I found it. It's called It's Burger.
I love it. Like 3
Bro,
minutes.
Finally
Amazing.
depressing.
It's
Every
burger.
time I've been there like a dozen times, and somehow it's like we always go like, oh, let's get a burger, and it's like
Yeah.
it's the same place we go to, and it's just so good. I got to tell you, you know, rag on Denmark and we joke about conquering them, but I would like to conquer them because I love that place.
I respect that.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I want to take what I enjoy. Like I like it, so I should own
Exactly.
it. You know, that's the American way. So Denmark,
Yes. Manifest destiny.
that's right.
If you like vacationing somewhere, just seize it as a
Wait,
treat.
didn't we
for it.
didn't
The
we
British did
occupy
that.
Denmark? World War II?
No.
Occupied
Greenland.
Greenland, that's what it was.
Do you guys ever have have you guys ever heard of
Should've left.
ketchup fried rice? I think it's called.
No. Korean?
Disgusting.
Is it hot dog fried rice? So when U.S. troops are stationed in Thailand, they want to eat hot dogs, but they don't have bread. They only had rice. So they would make a bed of rice, push a hot dog into it, and put ketchup on it. That's what the Americans would do because they were like, we don't got bread. We'll just make a bed of rice to eat our hot dog with. And so what they do is they take raisins, ketchup, and hot dogs. They mix it with the rice and fry it. And it's like a normal thing in Thailand, like everybody eats.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, you fry anything, it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
That's patriotic.
That's how I know you're America only. That's
That's right.
I mean,
All right, everybody.
All I need to say.
We got to go to the uncensored. I'm sorry. No, we're going to go to the Rumble rants and super chats. The uncensored portion of the show is coming up at 10 at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. And we're going to read what you guys have to say. Before we do, we got a great sponsor for you guys. It is Venice.ai. You know what's great about Venice.ai, my friends? It is a privacy-centered AI system, meaning everything you do, and they're not storing any of your data, they're not stealing any of your information. They don't want to be spying on you because, well, most people, I think, would prefer that, and it's a great business to start. I'm going to say this off script, but I imagine the guys at Venice were like, hey, I want to use an AI system, but they're recording everything I do, and it's creepy. Let's make one that doesn't do that. I know. I bet a lot of people would appreciate that too. So they launched this. It's really amazing. In fact, they actually have C-Dance too. They have the video studio. I'm very, very impressed with Venice. I use a lot of AI stuff. Venice has C-Dance 2, among other video generation models in it. So extremely useful if you're looking at doing video generation. So they're using leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, image generation. Private and permissionless. They don't spy or censor. Messages are encrypted and your conversation history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. With the Pro plan, you unlock the full platform and features including PDF uploads for summaries and insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, high image limits. Go to venice.ai/Tim. Use code Tim. Check it out. We've got some fun video generation stuff to show you for the uncensored portion of the show that I don't think we should show you on the not uncensored, not so family friendly, maybe a little offensive, but we'll say that for the uncensored portion. But shout out to venice.ai/Tim for sponsoring the show. Let's get what you guys got to say from those chats. We got Consumer. He says, be sure to welcome the regular bots and trolls. They're constantly asking me to ban a bunch of people. Well, we'll need to get a moderator on the Rumble side. Swanson says, what do y'all think of Americans praising China and saying Chinese people are off better than us? Even when data shows 600 million Chinese make $162 a month, why are we seeing this praise? Propaganda. There's a viral post from Jackson Hinkle where he's like, communism is better. This is proof. And it's like an image of the Chinese cityscape with like LED light buildings everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I've seen Vegas. You will not impress me. Like, have you not just looked at the sphere and the gigantic eyeball and all the weird stuff Vegas does? Come on.
Yeah,
There's a skyline of New York City in Vegas. If anyone's going to appropriate our culture, it's us. Okay.
Sorry, the RGB nationalism's not going to fake me out.
It's almost this is the thing about we've got something else for the uncensored portion with Hassan. He said the collapse of the Soviet Union was a great catastrophe, the greatest catastrophe. These people just lie. They are evil. This is what communists do. They lie. What they don't tell you about China is that you can't own land. You can only lease it from the government. What they don't tell you is that when the Olympics came to China, they stole the water from poor people to bring to the cities and let people die. That's the system you live under. Eminent domain, you think that's bad? When you live in China, they'll just kill you. They'll just take from you. You just duck and cover and hope you get to live peacefully. I'm not a big fan. I appreciate in the United States we at least have some redress of grievances.
You don't own land in China, right? You just have the 99-year lease.
Exactly. Same old man says, we conquer both Americas and make all them territories, give them no voting power, nor make them citizens of the USA, then use them for the U.S. empire. Ha ha ha.
What would we do?
I
with
will
all
add to
South
that.
America?
To be fair, in the United States, you don't own land either.
You pay property tax on it.
And then when you die, the government takes it from you.
Correct.
And in the long run, someone who owns land, let's say your great grandpappy, staked a plot of land back when nobody lived there, and he's got 10 acres. Eventually, the government came in and said, you got to pay a tax on that land now. And he goes, what do you mean? I don't do anything for money. I just farm here and feed my family. And say, too bad. Well, then he says, what do I do? They say, if you don't, we're going to take it from you.
Yeah.
So he parcels off a small piece of his land and sells it to somebody to pay his taxes. And every year, the land gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you don't own it anymore. That's the American way.
I'd prefer that over the 99-year lease.
That's fair, too, but still not good.
And that has been the way, right? Because we're managing into decline. If we look at this as a publicly traded corporation, we're going into bankruptcy. That's a matter of fact. 39 trillion in debt, 30 trillion GDP, 1 trillion in interest rates, right? We're paying.
The interest on the debt is about to become the principal line item, and it's going to, unless Trump does something to debt holders, like cut off their access to energy so they become desperate,
I got an idea for you.
conquer them.
Well, if we were a publicly traded corporation, we could put ourselves into bankruptcy, a structural reorganization, right?
United States?
United States.
Yeah, but that's meaningless.
Well, but hold on. But just real quick on this. 72% of debt is held domestically, right? If people were to take a haircut, we cut 10 trillion, 15, whatever off. What it would do is create an artificial tariff. It would make it so we'd have to make things here. I believe that we should not import anything.
If we
make things.
The debt held by the U.S. domestically in the national debt is like invoices waiting to be paid from the government, meaning these companies need that money to survive.
It would be a tough time. Our credit rating would go down.
Yeah, but the economy would implode.
And then the interest rates would shoot
General
up.
contractors would go to business overnight. 100 million jobs evaporate, not just because they're held by the government, but because there's many private sector jobs relying on invoices from the government.
Sure.
That in turn will be used to pay for food at a restaurant where the workers would go to. You would just see this massive tsunami of jobs collapsing.
Yeah, but I
we
thought
don't
we were
recover
small
from that.
government guys, right? Like if the government has its hand in everything, isn't it time to then restructure how it works? Because what it would do, it would create chaos immediately, right?
kill
And then our adversaries would invade, take us over.
Well, if we had a strong enough military, no, because that's one thing that
How are you
we
going to feed them?
invest in. But
How are you going to
do you
pay them?
feed
You're not going to be
domestic
able to pay
industry
them.
is what we have to build. All of this reindustrialization stuff. No, we need to make T-shirts here, hats. All
That's
of this.
true, but the point is the domestically held debt is granular. It's not one big company.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, of course.
Tens of thousands of companies all waiting on tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And their employees need that money. The employees then go grocery shopping, and the grocery stores need the money that comes from
Yes,
it.
yeah.
This is how the government's been artificially propping up economic expansion.
Correct.
Because they just keep promising the debt. So here's what people need to understand about the debt. Basically, the way it works is I'm broke, and I say to Tate, hey, work this month, and I promise I will pay you. I don't have any of the money. I then need to figure out how to get the money. So I go to the people who are living nearby, and I force them to pay me so I can pay Tate.
Yeah, come on, I'm good
Then
for it. Yeah.
I say, Tate, I need you to work here for this month. Damn, I need Elaad too. But my wife only told me that we're allowed to contract up to 10K.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyway. I go to my wife and she goes, okay, let's increase the debt limit. There is no money the U.S. has. They are taking on contracts saying, don't worry, we will pay you. And then either they are, Obama did the quantitative easing. I'm sorry, he did the stimulus. But we do quantitative easing, just produce the money to try and deal with some of the debt.
Yeah.
Or we then say we need to figure out where this money is coming from after the fact and keep putting people off paying interest. It's going to implode.
It's going to implode. And that's why Jefferson warned that banking institutions were more dangerous than standing armies. And the thing is, well, if it's going to implode, if we're being managed into bankruptcy, well, how do we manage it into bankruptcy? That's a conversation we should have that no one's willing to have.
El Jefe Lopez says, so Tim is just going to do the plot from the movie The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, kind of. My idea was that we would do the Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser. Yeah, we go into an underground bunker where she will tell her it's the year is 1990 and, and then she'll emerge in the future. Ooh, oh, wow, look, everything's changed,
Not to dig up the last conversation, can I take the most unpopular position in conservative media and defend property taxes?
No.
Dude, I think
wanna
that's
hear
there's a-
why.
there's a-
the most
How?
pragmatic
there's
explanation.
a small government. This actually property taxes. Thomas Jefferson called it the most righteous tax in America. It's like one of our oldest taxes.
He never envisioned the Fairfax County government.
So Sagar and Jetty actually laid this out quite well. He basically rebutted because right now obviously the atmosphere is like property tax theft, et cetera. And I agree there's some like philosophical conundrums there, but when it comes to schools, police, local services, if you abolish property taxes, now the state or the federal government is now in control of those services. The administration of those services, the state tax now is being levied on you to pay for those services. So when you take away property taxes, you actually lose a lot of local autonomy.
Now we should go back to the fire emblem standard, where you go to the fire department, you pay your monthly fee, and they give you an emblem to put on your house. And then if you have a fire, when they pull up, if they don't see the emblem, they will leave.
The problem is, like, I agree, like, if we could, like, actually make that happen. The problem is if we abolish property taxes, there's not going to be any, like...
To your point, though, that's assuming almost positive behavior, right? Where let's look at Fairfax County or Loudoun County, where they know they have a wealthy home ownership population, right? They're going to keep jacking that up. But meanwhile, the public school system is going to keep spending money. They're going to overspend to the point they go into a deficit. So then they're going to say, oh, we need a casino. Who's going to propose that? The politicians who their campaigns are paid for by the casinos. All of it is designed into that because without personal responsibility, if the local government can't have it, no one can have it. It's designed, like, look at Fairfax County again. Steve Descano, 75%, you'll like this, of the murders, illegal immigrants. Fairfax County. They get let off. No, but just the point you're saying, not the murders, obviously, but the point, like, oh, they're doing this.
Palantir to use
they're
data
doing
collection
this.
technology to deport them.
We don't even need it because the Fairfax County Police will say, hey, Steve, this guy who's been arrested 30 times, if you let him out, drop these charges, he's going to kill someone.
The problem is,
and he does.
The problem, though, is that Fairfax...
And Democrats permit that.
But also...
Because it's designed to make national government spread more.
Well, but that's the problem. So, again, if you abolish property taxes, no one can fund county-level police departments. So that's going to be Loudoun County, Fairfax County are now in the driver's seat for dictating, like, they're going to have a state, we're going to have state police. That's going to be the results of that. Schooling, now it's completely determined by the Virginia state government. Like, it actually removes a lot of local autonomy. It gives a lot of red counties, it eliminates their recourse to at least combat, a state government they disagree with. So it would work in red states, but the problem in blue states, as you made this point,
like
Virginia is flooded with red counties. They lose all their autonomy if you abolish property taxes. Again, it's an unpopular take, but it's like true objectively. Sagar and Jetty laid it out really well.
Let's grab some of these chats here. We got Rusty Shackelford says, anyone who's served knows military healthcare is trash. Military doctors suck and are immune from medical malpractice suits. And TRICARE is an evil, soulless bureaucracy that does everything possible not to help you. You don't want government healthcare. Agreed.
I had TRICARE growing up. I was born in the Naval Academy. My father was in the military. It wasn't good, but it was way better than having to pay money for healthcare. I'll say that.
Chad Hoffman says, Tim is right. There are no jobs Americans won't do. Also, most farm work, pickers, and the like make $20 an hour plus here in California. I know a lot of second and third generation who do go picking seasonally. Yeah, I had a friend who did grape harvesting or something for like 20-something bucks an hour 20 years ago. And I was making $12 an hour working some crappy job. And I was like, you're getting $20 for picking fruit?
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Dude, I'm old enough to remember when delivery drivers were like teenage men. Like,
yeah, like Domino's,
dudes,
yeah.
just hustling, chill dudes. Now it's, you know what it is.
Yeah. It's like an ice mug shot.
I guess
pizza. You're like, what's going on?
No. Hold on. I got to tell you about this. We complained about it a while. You know what pisses me off about this is when I order food on one of these apps and it'll say Sasha is coming, and then it's
like Pedro.
It's Pedro, and so we started blocking them. We started telling them turn around, and they get pissed off. We had one guy get really mad. We were like, we can't accept the food from you, and he's like, I'm Sarah's husband, and we were like, have a nice day, goodbye.
Yeah. Did you see where one account, I don't remember which app it was, named Emmanuel in Manhattan made 11,000 deliveries in 1 year? It's like insane.
But isn't that a larger byproduct?
Wow. So what is it? He's doing 30 plus a day?
It's corruption. What do you mean?
No, more than
fraud.
But transitioning into a
well, I know, but I'm wondering if that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
Oh, well, transitioning into essentially a 1099 workforce, right? Well,
I think illegal immigration is undercutting our labor force. That's what I was kind of implying.
I agree with you on that.
Illegal immigrants are doing a lot of jobs that used to be taken by people who are still entry-level workforce type people.
If he worked every single day doing 30 deliveries per day, he'd make that amount, which I don't think no days off ever, and doing 30 deliveries a day. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and they were pointing out that women were showing up when his name was Emmanuel. So it was like a meme. I was living in Manhattan.
The average is
2
to 3 deliveries per hour. So most people will do about 10 to 15 deliveries per shift.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did it for a few months. It was pretty horrible.
and here's the secret. Here's the secret. What these people don't realize is that they're losing money doing it.
Yep.
Uber, for instance, I'll call it ride shares. The cost on the vehicle is greater than what they actually end up making.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize it.
I hit a pothole and it wiped out a week's of my earnings. It's like there's no winning. Yeah.
I mean, there are guys in New York City who they rent a Honda Accord to do Uber, $400 a week. You could purchase that for way cheaper than $1,600 a month.
I see a lot of bicyclists in New York too, like riding.
They have like a game. They have like a game they play with each other. Like they compete. There's like a Facebook board or something, and they like post their best delivery time.
Really?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I think a big part of the problem is that it's a race to the bottom. These guys will live, a ton of them, a dozen of them, in a house. They will inflate real estate costs and then undercut the market because they're just trying to send remittances back home.
Yeah, and for them, it's better than Guatemala City.
The $100 a month or a week that they're able to conjure up and send back home is actually worth more than they can make over there. They're undercutting labor here and then shooting up costs because there'll be a dozen of them in one apartment.
I got to grab one more super chat before we go. We got a minute left, so I want to grab this one. Awesomely says, Tim, there's a big problem with game theory 18. It's not just oil that is exported through Hormuz. Urea, which is used for fertilizer, and helium, which is used for computer chips. Sure, we can provide oil, but can we provide the other stuff? That's their problem, though. The U.S. does produce fertilizer. We do get some from the Strait, but this is a problem for the East, not the West. Trump may not be doing it intentionally, but what is happening is the U.S. is taking damage. China's taking substantially more. We're going to go to the uncensored portion of the show, and we're going to make some jokes. Not so family friendly, but always funny. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. It's going to be at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. Mark, do you want to shout anything out?
Follow me at It's Mark Moran on Twitter, Instagram. My website is runwithmoran.com, and I have a lot of ideas that break the traditional uniparty mold. And anyone who is interested in helping out, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, I thank you so much for coming on, and I think it was nice to have an insightful conversation to see where a lot of your ideas are at, and I think you kind of represent a growing constituency in our country. I don't know if it'll be an electorally significant one, nonetheless. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I am Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. You can find me at Elaad Eliyahu on all platforms. There's a Pentagon press briefing tomorrow that I'll be covering as well that I'm really excited for, so be sure to check that out.
Yeah, you can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown, and come hang out tomorrow morning show. It's a noon show, noon live Eastern time on Rumble. You'll see it on the homepage. Don't miss it. Marks, thanks for hopping on. It was a blast. We get a lot of like pile drivers on the show, so it's fun to have a guy that's like has some switching up the opinions, and we'll go.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Well, and to say one thing too, like why this is so important is like what you guys are doing. This is the filtering of ideas in America. This is the most pure thing, which is why ultimately they're going to come for the podcasters, right?
So true.
But what you guys are doing, and I very much appreciate the opportunity, is allowing for ideas to percolate, see the best idea if it can win.
Yeah, Mark, thanks so much for coming on. This has been a really good conversation. There's like not even like a little bit of unspent time on the air. But yeah, you can follow me at Carter Banks at Carter Banks on X and Instagram, etc. So yeah, Tim.
We'll see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL right now. Thanks for hanging out.